Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Sakshi Kulkarni. I'm the director for SME Business Forum and SME Chamber of India. I welcome all the speakers and delegate for this event, and I look forward to interacting with all of you and learn about your company's products and services and what exactly the business opportunities you are looking in Africa, and as well as what are the, if you are looking for any kind of investments. So today we have invited the speakers from from SBI as well as from Resurgent India, and Mr. Nagesh Rani, he is from Arise, and he is going to talk about what are the business opportunities are available in African market. Mr. K. Gupta ji is here. He is a director for Resurgent India, and he is going to talk on supporting manufacturing and SMEs and what is the role of Resurgent. And we also have Mr. Sivraj Nandalal. He is an economic counselor for economic development of Mauritius. So he is also going to speak about what are the opportunities are available in Mauritius. And we also have Mr. Milind Kulkarni and Chaitanya Shahaji. So before we start with the event, I would like to invite Mr. Chandrakant Salunke, who is the founder and president of SME Chamber of India and SME Business Forum, for his welcome speech.
Good afternoon. On behalf of SME Chamber of India and Maharashtra Industry Development Association, it's my immense pleasure to welcome Sri K.K. Gupta ji, a very seasoned banker and who is now helping the research in India to support the entrepreneurs, particularly from SME and manufacturing industries, to grow their business with finance and investment. And of course, we are looking for a emerging opportunity after getting finance from banks. So we want to now expand our business. So therefore, Mr. Rane is going to support for all the industries and SMEs that you can explore business, investment, as well as other opportunities in the African countries. So when you talk about finance, when you talk about investment, Mr. Rane is here, Mr. K.K. Gupta is here to advise you. But who will be providing the finance? State Bank of India. So State Bank is here, Mr. Sharad is here, so he will be giving you a lot of inputs for the what is the new and financial products of SBI, which will be beneficial to SME sector for the particular collateral free loan, trade finance, working capital, equipment finance, and especially for the those companies looking for expanding or setting up new industries, new manufacturing industries. And of course, Mr. Kurkulni and the representative from the African Consulate, this Mauritius Consulate, will be giving you more idea about the economic development happening, and especially the SADC and COMESA countries, how they are supporting and collaborating with the Indian industries, particularly to use the benefits of these two agreements created by the especially for the foreign countries. I don't know how many entrepreneurs I have seen a lot of new faces are aware about our activities, particularly for SMEs, SME Chamber of India. 30 years old organization, we are supporting a lot of SMEs to grow more, expand their business activities, supporting them to identify emerging business opportunity in various countries, particularly export promotion, supporting them to resolve their issues and problems. And especially, I want to tell you that today I skipped to attend an RBI meeting special for this program. So I skipped for going Lucknow. Instead, I thought I will hear Mr. Gupta and Mr. Rane about new opportunity and how we can support our entrepreneurs. So let's take advantage of this opportunity. Uh, this may be a very smaller group program, but this is a very quality group where you will be getting a lot of inputs from these speakers, finance, investment, transforming your business activity, and especially for the collaboration or investment or business opportunity in African countries. So this is one. Second thing, those are looking for particularly to enhance more connectivity with the corporates. Are you looking for supply to the large corporate MNCs or the SME sector? If we are looking particularly to setting up your manufacturing industry, if you're looking to emerging market in a particular Gulf countries or African countries, there we can also support you. If you have any issues about banking services, and if you are looking any assistance to resolve the issues, there also we can support. So with the SBI, with the Resurgent, with the Arise and our SME Investment Promotion Council, we can give you hand holding and support for them. So after this, speeches, we will have a interaction session with you. We will give you opportunity to give your introduction about your business activity, because most of the time in a conference, you listen to speakers and you get an opportunity to interact with a few people, just exchange card. But here you will be getting opportunity under the SM Business Forum that you have to present your company. What is your company? What is your product? What is your services? How you want to connect with others and what you are expecting from others. I know maybe you must be attending some BNI meeting or any other business forum meeting, but here you are getting hand holding support. जस्ट नॉट ओनली जस्ट डॉक्टर ने खाली डायग्नोस करके छोड़ते नहीं हम डायग्नोस भी करते हैं, ट्रीटमेंट भी देते हैं. सो इसका फायदा आप जरूर लीजिए. With this word, I'm thankful to SBI Gupta ji, and even my friend Mr. Shah is here. Mr. Shah is going to speak about how effective financial management ecosystem, particularly for running your business, particularly for improvement of your business. Because देखिए SBI को आपका फिजिबल वायबल प्रपोजल होगा तो शरद जी आप पेमेंट दे सकते हो, फंडिंग दे सकते हो, फाइनेंस दे सकते हो. अगर आपका वीक प्रपोजल होगा तो के गुप्ता जी कहेंगे भाई आपका वीक है, थोड़ा उसको अच्छी तरह बनाइए. बिकॉज मैराथन में जाना है तो हमें सीखना चाहिए, 6 महीने 5 महीने साल भर हमें दौड़ना चाहिए. ऐसा हमें करना है. तो शाह साहब आपसे हम बहुत उम्मीद रखते हैं कि हम कैसे हमारा बिजनेस ट्रांसफॉर्म कर सकते हैं. देयर यू कैन गिव इनपुट्स. ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच.
I would like to invite Mr. K. Gupta, Director, Resurgent India Limited, and his topic is supporting manufacturing and SMEs for business growth, role of Resurgent of India.
Good afternoon, friends. Really happy to see you. So I am representing Resurgent India. So we will prepare one PPT. I will not talk much about the PPT. So I am requesting our respected president and SME chambers that they can share my PPT to you. Most of the important aspects which I am talking to you, how a SME sector can avail the opportunity for financing and under various government schemes. So you know that government is supporting the SME sector. I will not emphasize the importance of the SME because everybody knows it is creating employment, it is creating export, it is everything is being, you can say, play role for the development of the economy. Now, point is whether we want to achieve 5 trillion economy up to 25. So, for which it is envisaged that SME sector will play very important role either to create employment or either to create exports. So, definition of the SME sector undergo a change, which I think you must be aware. If your turnover is 250 crore rupees and investment in plant and machinery, that too a depreciated value, that is not an original cost. As per your balance sheet, if your depreciated value of the plant and machinery is 50 crore and less, you can avail the benefit of the export SME sector. Now question is either you are a service sector you are a manufacturer, or you are a trader. So you can avail such type of benefit under the SME sector. If you are a trader, you receive some export orders. So you can approach the banks, Exim banks, and other financial institutions to avail the pre-shipment, post-shipment, even ECB, and it is being granted by the government. I'm not talking about the much what are the micro sector, because here we are talking about the medium sector. There's no point because the registration under a Udyomi is a must. Now it is mandatory. You get your unit registered under the SME category, so you can avail all type of benefit under these schemes. The most important feeling as a banker is repayment. Once you sell the goods, so it is also feel that you are not getting the money within a time schedule. Either you know the latest amendment which has been taken place, which will be implemented for the assessment year of 24-25. For SME sector, you cannot withhold the payment more than 45 days. If even your agreement is 90 days, still the payment has to be made within 45 days. If you are not making a payment within 45 days, then you cannot book your purchases under your P&L. That means it is loss for a company who purchase the goods. It will be implemented, you can say already implemented from 1st April 23. लेकिन our act says it should be implemented from the April 24. लेकिन that is financial year 24 and 25. That means it already started implemented from 1st April. I think this is the most important issue which SME sector must be knowing, because the major aspect, if you are receiving the payment within stipulated period, then there is very remote chances for the difficulty under a working capital. Now point is how research in India is helping. We are a merchant banker. We are investment banker. We are also conducting technical viability reports almost for all the banks, including State Bank of India. On my viability report, bank is giving a finance. That means if you want to prepare your draft project report, so we are here to help you to prepare the project report, to establish the viability of the project, and also to help the entrepreneurs to get a working capital loans. So many schemes are there by the RBI. Either you can say production link incentives, capital subsidy, GSTV remission, income tax rebates. So many facilities are being covered. So I tried in my PPT to cover all the aspects. You will get it because time is very short. They have given me 20 minutes. If I am going on talking to the research in India, so it will take over 2 hours to talk to research in India. What we are doing it. So I am also providing training to the bankers. That is also one of the subjects. So recently I hold a training program with the Union Bank of India. where all the branches of the SME of the Union Bank and their customer participated in that training programs. More than 4,000 people on a virtual meeting. Behold that how to assess a working capital loan. That is a major aspect for the banker also. Even some accounts are going bad, or you can say you are not repaid the interest, you are not paid the interest within 90 days, you are not paid the installments, the account are being classified as a non-performing assets. So how to avoid the non-performing assets and how to get the restructured accounts? I think this is the most important aspects here. So that we are also dealing with that. How to avoid to classify the account as non-performing assets. Now, before submitting any proposal to the banker, what aspect you will see? So, Mr. Shah will touch about the financial ratio. I am not going to touch that aspects because balance sheet is index of the any performance of any company. If you are preparing a balance sheet properly and submitting to the bank, I think there is no problem. There is no dearth of the funds you can avail from the banking sector. If you are giving a proper projections, so our assessment is based on the projections. If you are projected the sale, only one sale figures can reflect what is your requirement for a working capital limits. That is a major aspect here. So what I am suggesting, if your turnover is 100 rupees, you want to project 150, you have to justify it, assumptions. How are you going to achieve that sale? If your sale is being satisfied by the banker, state bank people are sitting here, they will also vouch me. Sale is the important aspect in any projections. If you have projected the sales and bank is accepted, so all ratio as the past performance or the future aspect as you talk about the profitability, you talk about the current assets, you talk about the current liabilities, everything can be projected. Now systems are available in this where you put a sale figures. On the basis of the past performance, you can project the total requirement of the working capital. Now the system is available with you. There is no point for that. If you properly analyze your balance sheet and properly classified your current asset and current liabilities and properly classify your net working capital, I think there is no issue for the banker because I know when I joined the bank, I'm talking about 50 years back. So when I joined the bank, I was in Chandigarh at the time. So one expert was the credit appraisal officer was the expert in that field. So they attached me with that person. तो what he was doing it, किसी को लिमिट देना है, वो क्या करता था, होल्डिंग ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल 1 मंथ कर दिया, किसी को 3 महीने कर दिया, किसी को 2 महीने कर दिया, रिसीवेबल बढ़ा दिए, he was expert, but there were no basis for that. If holding level you are taking 1 month and then you are taking 2 months, definitely limit will go up, na? Similarly, they reduce the creditor levels. If the creditor level reduced, definitely assessment of the limit will go, will be different. So that type of assessment, what I want to say here, has undergone vast change. Now there is no point. Everything is a scientific. Every assessment is a scientific assessment. So I think if you properly project yourself, your financial position, there is no problem at all not getting a loan from the banking sector. Now, major aspect, what we are talking in so many webinars, because I am the financial partner mostly with all the chambers. Whether we talk about the SHM, CIA, or Indian Chamber of Commerce. So I was there to representing the industry. So how to assess the limits? how to approach the bank to getting the limits. So we are also proposing in all the because I have held more than 200 webinar during last 1 year on a different subject. Either talk about the SME sector or infrastructure or LRD, all aspect we got it, we done it. So my only submission to here why I am interacting with you, I just want to interact with you instead of talking to you all because my PPT I don't want to put PPT ye hai wo hai I don't want to do all such things. Just I want to which are the most important aspects for SME sector. The first aspect what I am talking about the financial statements. What you are preparing the balance sheet because now balance sheet can also be authenticated by way of GST. So you are filing a GST return. All purchases, all sale, bank is authenticating from the GST. I have also got a fintech company with me, which we are fetching the data from the GST portal. Know your bank, know your customer. So that portal we are also having. So major aspect what I am feeling in all this webinar is a collateral securities. That was the major aspect in all the webinar, in all the conferences. So people are only telling, sir, we have no collateral security. So my business is growing. Lekin I am not getting a loan from the banking sector. Now that aspect is also we have discussed in a very different platform. Whether instead of the assets-based lending, can it be a cash flow lending? Most of the banks now agreeing to that point instead of assets based. Assets based mean your current assets, your current liabilities. When we are talking about the cash surplus, we are talking about the cash generation of the business, operation from the business. What is the deficit on the cash flow? Up to that extent, whether you are getting the loan from the banking sector, if that aspect is coming, now it is coming very fast with the banking sector. If that cash flow lending will come, definitely this collateral security, some difference can be minimized for that. Up to 5 crore, you must be knowing that no collateral security is required. It is covered under the credit guarantee scheme. Whether it's for 2 crore rupees, now it increased to 5 crore rupees. So because we are talking about the medium sector, I'm not talking macro. Most important aspect is you get yourself registered. Because what I find out, 90% of the unit, either we are talking about the macro sector, either we are talking about medium sector, they are not a registered units. The first point is you get yourself under a portal of Udyog, register yourself. This is the first issue. Then you should be GST paid. That is also important aspects for that. If you are all such financial other thing, you are preparing properly, or you can take the help of your chartered accountant or help from the research in India. So we are here to help you because we are also in technical viability study. We are also suggesting the banker what is the viability of the units. So beside that, for restructuring, if an account has gone NPA, you want to restructure your accounts, definitely we are here to help you for the restructuring of the accounts also. That is also important aspect in the banking sector. Beside that, if you are exporter, if you are getting the export order with you, so definitely pre-shipment and post-shipment, which is also granted by the export guarantee corporations. That you can also take from the banking sector. Either you are a trader or a manufacturer or a service sector. So you can avail the benefit from the banking sector. I think there is no issue for that. And whatever the capital subsidy, you can get it, interest subsidy, all things are available. That is why I try to cover in my PPT. I think you will get all the PPT. If any question from your side, because my point here is to have more interaction with you instead of giving a lecture. Any point from the banking sector or any difficulty you envisage to getting a loan from the bank, Either you talk about term loan or you talk about the non-fund base or talk about the working capital. In your mind, every question is there. Let me should interact. Definitely. That are asked. So that's why I'm asking you. You ask any question in respect of the banking sector. Please, please.
The eligibility part, that is okay, that you said, like, we can get loans from the bank, that is the eligibility. But what about negotiations? Means, the processing fee, some charges 1.5, 1.3%, some charge 0.8%. So in that negotiation, how do you help?
सर उस पे कुछ नहीं है. Point is your rating. If your rating is okay, investment grade at least.
But the bank manager level, they try to do business, rather, they help us.
Natural, no, sir. Any, देखिए, you also doing it. If you are selling some goods to the party, you also negotiate.
Correct.
Bank is also going to negotiate.
Yes.
In that respect, I can, as a researcher in India, I can tell you on your financials what I can get you processing fees, what interest I can get you, and how much limit is available. That we can also tell you. Your sale is this. You want to project, what I've told you, projection of the sale figure, only one sale figure, can project you how much limit requirement is with you. I'm telling very clearly. Now फार्मूले वो चले गए हैं. पहले मुझे तोप का लाइसेंस दीजिए, आपको पिस्टल मिल जाएगी. होता था ना ऐसे. पहले क्या ऐसे होता, जब मैं बैंक में आया था ऐसे ही था. जब मैं बताया हूँ आपको एग्जांपल, मेरे साथ ऐसे ही है. वो ऐसे करना, ऐसे कर लो. अब वो फार्मूले खत्म हो चुके हैं. नाउ प्रॉपर साइंटिफिक असेसमेंट इज देयर. वो चला गया है. अब वो जमाना नहीं रहा. अब हमारे जैसे आदमी आ गए ना. अब तो बैंक में इतना साल काम करके आया. जनरल मैनेजर भी सेंट्रल बैंक. मैं तो लोगों को एनआईबीएम में, नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट बैंक मैनेजमेंट, मैं पढ़ाता रहा हूँ वहां पर. अभी भी पढ़ा रहा हूँ बैंक्स को. अभी भी सबको मैं पढ़ाता हूँ. अभी मैं बैंक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र को क्लास लेकर आया हूँ. यूनियन बैंकिंग कर रहा हूँ. बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के साथ कर रहा हूँ. तो देयर नो पॉइंट. हमारे जैसे एक्सपर्ट्स है ना, तो वी कैन हेल्प यू इन एनी रिस्पेक्ट. हाँ जी सर, प्लीज. नो, आप थोड़ा गलतफहमी हो गई आपको. स्टेट बैंक ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड द स्टार्टअप ब्रांच. बैंक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड द स्टार्टअप ब्रांच. इफ यू हैव ए स्टार्टअप, लेट मी नो. यू गिव मी योर डीपीआर, आई विल गेट यू द लोन. सम वेंचर जो कैपिटल्स है ना, वेंचर कैपिटल्स, they can also give you the equity also. I can arrange you equity funds also. Fund of funds, 10,000 crore is set aside, where you can get 20% of your total requirement as a seed money, or you can say capital. You can go for IPO also. There's no problem at all. Yes, please. Yes, please.
सर, आई एम मर्चेंट एक्सपोर्टर, अभी स्टार्ट किया है. तो ये सीजीटीएमएस का आपने जो बोला, उसका फायदा हो रहा है सर. धीरे बैंक में जाते हैं तो उतना उसका रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आ रहा है जो अपने.
सर देखिए, बैंक भी एक फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन है. तो स्कीम तो यही है, 5 करोड़ तक डोंट आस्क फॉर एनी कोलेटरल सिक्योरिटी. अब स्टेट बैंक वाले बैठे हुए हैं, कहेंगे हाँ जी आइए देंगे. देते नहीं है. देते नहीं है. लेकिन उनको यह मालूम नहीं है, इफ दे टेक द गारंटी, इफ दे गेट द कोलेटरल सिक्योरिटी, उनका कवर खत्म हो जाता है. ये जो आप बता रहे हैं ना, अब बैंक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र के मेरे कुछ दिन पहले ऐसी मीटिंग थी, ऐसे ही क्वेश्चन उठाया. ईडी वाज देयर. तो आई टोल्ड देम, तो क्यों ऐसे करते हो तुम? तुम्हारा 5 करोड़ तक कवर है, आपने दे दिया. कवर में आपने प्रीमियम दे दिया, और उसने आपने गारंटी ले लिया पार्टी का, या कोलेटरल सिक्योरिटी ले लिया, तो आपका कवर खत्म हो गया. यू विल नॉट गेट द कवर. बैंक विल नॉट गेट द कवर. ही वाज वंडरिंग, ईडी वाज वंडरिंग, कहता है कुछ ऐसा है. मैं कहा ऐसा ही है. यू आर वायलेटिंग. यू शुड नॉट डू ऑल सच थिंग. 5 करोड़ तक लिमिट नहीं है, तो आपको कवर मिल रहा है ना गवर्नमेंट से. तो व्हाई यू आर आस्किंग फॉर ए कोलेटरल सिक्योरिटी एंड यू आर नॉट गेटिंग एनी कवर? इट इज वेरी क्लियर. अब स्टेट बैंक वाले बैठे हैं, ही विल एक्सप्लेन यू आल्सो. ही विल नॉट गेट एनी कवर फॉर दैट. हाँ जी, हाँ जी, प्लीज.
Our business, money is coming, no problem. We are into innovation. So I'm not talking about money. My purpose of coming here is for the African market. If you want to go to these
He
new
will
markets?
I will tell you, for innovation. If you are doing for innovation, there is government scheme is there where you can get 100% plant and machinery per subsidy hai.
I, what I'm trying to understand from Resurgent India,
Yes.
we want to expand to those markets. And even there, in that government also, they have a startup, systems. Every country has. So if we have to partner or collaborate with somebody from that branch, so are you in a position to give us a service?
Definitely, I can do it. I am also negotiating with the diplomats, African diplomats. I am talking about the backward countries, where the people are not investing the money, so they are approaching me. I have held one conference with all the diplomat at Ashoka Hotel a month back, where I told them I can arrange for the customer, I can arrange for the finance also, no problem at all. People are interested. If you are government is giving some, you can say help, so definitely there is no problem. People are coming. Yes, sir.
What kind of service level can we expect from Resurgent India?
Anything on the moon, anything you want from us, we will do it. I have more than 250 staff with me. I started with 2%. Now we have 250, and we are doing a technical viability study. We are doing everything. Even we have an insolvency also with me.
That includes M&E also.
Everything. I can help you in any respect. What you want? Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
My
sir.
name is Vijay. I'm from Noir. I'm
Yes.
into the pharmaceutical population exports in last 10 years.
Okay.
And after the COVID, our some funds have got stuck in African market.
Mhm.
And I'm going through High Commission of India this country. But there are countries where the numbers are not so proper. They are written there and I'm not getting. So how to recover the long outstanding? So,
Good.
do you have any instrument of recovery? How you can help us?
Sir, we have a legal cell with me.
Legal.
We have a legal cell with me. If you want, can refer to me. I can have some advice from the legal cell. Further, what I want to tell you, if you negotiated the bill through the bank,
That is
so
possible.
it is also covered under the credit guarantee, export credit guarantee. So definitely you must get a 75% or 60% money. You must have been realized till date.
So, sir, if I have got the ECGC cover, then there was no issue. But
Yes.
this was before taking the ECGC cover, the shipments have been done and those are stuck after the COVID.
Sir, if you are negotiated the bill through the bank, it is under the whole turnover policy. It is already covered under that scheme. There is no problem. You take a separate ECC policy, not there. In that, you are already covered. If you are negotiated through the bank,
So that is past. If you means it is ifs and buts are not talking about. The current scenario is your
I can help you. I understood. I understood your point. I can help you for a legal.
Right.
That is only legal recourse left with you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. I have a very specific thing with Zimbabwe. It's a project that I do solar. It's a large project. Through one of the agencies we have identified in India who could do the project. So the whole project is going to EPC as well as supply panels is going to be done to India. So they kept talking about Exim Bank probably will be able to fund it because they'll come under a scheme that about 75% they give them at a reasonable rate and they pay off our people who are doing from India as well. I talked to somebody in Exim Bank on an informal basis. They don't have funds for that sort of thing. So where do I go for such a project?
If you are a EPC contractor, you are EPC contractor,
No, sir, I am an investment bank.
you are investment bank.
Investment bank.
Investor.
So basically, I'm trying to get him the contract for the business.
If you want to get a contract, there are two type of thing is there. Even those who person you are getting the contract, they can give you the wire credit. You know that part is wire credit.
Yeah, but that under that scheme, it's Exim Bank is saying no.
Exim Bank can also give. even that supplier of that country who's importer, that can arrange your buyer credit at a cheaper rate. If you still feel any thing, I can help you to get a buyer credit or EPC. There's no issue for that. If you are
What
exporting,
ticket size?
Ajay?
Very large project. What ticket size are we looking at? This is a pretty large.
Sir, you can say 2000 crore, 5000 crore rupees.
I can't meet.
I have recently sanctioned, get it sanctioned 4000 crore rupees from one bank. 4000 crore rupees. There is no problem at all. There is no
Thanks for
problem.
this.
You can come to me.
Thank you, sir.
हाँ जी sir.
Sir, just want to know your suggestion, like for growing micro level organizations who have never been to loans, banks, and everything. What is your suggestion that from where at cheapest level we can get the business? What is your suggestion? That how that micro level organization should approach for this?
देखो माइक्रो लेवल में what type of macro level is there? You are financing to macro sector or you are a micro yourself is a micro. You are a manufacturer under a macro. There is no problem at all. If your macro sector is there, prepare your DPR, draft project report. Come to me. If you are not knowing, tell me. I will prepare your DPR from resurgent point of view and have a financial viability in that accounts. Manufacturing, I am telling very honestly from this platform, banker is after the manufacturers. They are not getting the manufacturer. I'm telling very clearly from this platform. Our State Bank people are here, they can also vote me. Even daily they are telephoning me, even by the MD. गुप्ता कोई मैन्युफैक्चर लाओ ना यार कोई अकाउंट मेरे पास तो इसलिए सर यदि आपका मैक्रो सेक्टर में है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम सर नहीं है
Factor is in, OT or collateral.
up to 5 crore
5 crore.
up to 5 crore हाँ जी
Bank with ICICI Bank, they are not getting.
sir you go to PSU banks even I'm just telling you na if they are giving you 3 crore 4 crore rupees asking you collateral security that will not serve they cannot get guarantee cover if they are getting the guarantee cover they cannot get it settled it will be rejected I'm telling you this is against the rules no you cannot do it if any difficulty come to me we will help you definitely my business is like that I'm talking about my business my business if you people are coming to me definitely if you, they can tell you very if you are getting benefit of 10 rupees if I'm taking 2 rupees from you I think you can pay
It's going to be only with the national bank, no private bank.
the private bank is also giving lekin point is PSU is more liberal PSU are more liberal वो थोड़ा पुराने टाइप थोड़ा सा चलता है प्राइवेट बैंक में थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्टी तो है लेकिन वो देखते हैं कैसी कंपनी है कैसे है मेरा पैसा आएगा नहीं आएगा interest rate now it is very it is a question of the now the for the SME sector it is linked to the you can say their MIFA rate so there is no for 9-10% के करीब है आजकल का rate 9 or 10% में you can get the loan for that इससे ज्यादा नहीं है
I'm talking about OD, only OD.
है जी
OD, overdraft.
overdraft against what
For the running your business.
yes, sir question is overdraft against the current assets ना दैट ओवरड्राफ्ट ले लो या कैश क्रेडिट लिमिट कह दीजिए उसको तो बैंकिंग सेक्टर में उसको बोलते हैं कैश क्रेडिट लिमिट यू से ओडी इट इज वन ऑफ द सेम थिंग लेकिन अगेंस्ट द सिक्योरिटी ऑफ करंट एसेट्स इन्वेंट्री एंड रिसीवेबल
I suggest all of you, if you have question banking services related, so Sharad is here, he will answer. If you are looking to channelize funding, investment, so Gupta ji se question.
नहीं यू कैन आस्क मी एनीथिंग आई आल्सो एक्सप्लेन
अभी expect कर रहा हूँ, थोड़ा अकेले भी छोड़ देते हैं।
हाँ वो बात है
Existing bank
हाँ
अकेले
वो
छोड़
वो
देते हैं।
ठीक वो दैट आई कैन
सरकार पार्ट में वजन बोल
उनके पास पैसा है,
है,
उनके पास
क्या बोल रहे
पैसा
थे?
है।
क्या बोल रहे थे?
हो जाएगा, हो जाएगा।
देखिए, मैं आपको बताऊं ऑनेस्टली,
मेरे भाषण में
इस
मैंने
प्लेटफॉर्म से
system
मैं
बताया था।
भाषण नहीं देना चाहता हूं। मैं काम वही लेता हूं अपने हाथ में जिस पर मुझे गारंटी होती है, मैं करवा दूंगा। और मैं ये सोच के लेता हूं, यदि मैं जीएम होता बैंक में, अभी नहीं हूं ना, उस समय तो था ना, यदि मैं जीएम होता मैं करता इसको, वो मैं सोचता हूँ। यदि मैं सोचता मैं कर देता, फिर मैं करवा भी देता हूँ। आई एम टेलिंग वेरी क्लियर। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू।
So, now I would like to invite Mr. Sarath Kumar Chatti, AGM State Bank of India, role and initiatives of SBI in empowering MSME.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm thankful to SME Chambers of India for giving me this opportunity. And now I'm in hot seat, I think. Okay, this is the session what is given to me is regarding what is the SBI's initiative for SME. That I will briefly go through the presentation, then I will take the questions. Is it okay? Yeah. So we first know what is SBI, what is SBI is doing for SME. So to start with, yeah.
Will we get the PPT?
There is nothing like can take snapshots out. So SME, SBI for SME. The first slide it was there as SME, SBI for SME. So since the bank is started, its root is 1806 British India time. We are the first one pioneering in financing the SMEs. Basically at that time trade manufacturing the less at that time. Trade we have started, slowly manufacturing. That way have started and come all the way. This SME, I need not to say everyone here is there, they know about that what is the role of SME in the Indian economy. The figure says itself very loud and clear that GDP is contributing almost one third of GDP, export also 40% of the GDP, then employment it is giving the largest employment it is giving. So that's why the government of India also giving lot of emphasis on SMEs, as well as our bank has also into SME and giving a different product, all sort of products. If I'll go to the next slide where the different products are there. I'm not going to explain the products, but it is about a snapshot or a sort of teaser we can say. So, no, previous. Yeah, the enabler for SME that is previous. I can do it from here. Huh? Basic enable for SME, so these people, policies and financial needs, we come into the financial needs. So all the people who are here, they are having the entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial talent, and workforce is also available in our country. There is no issue on the entrepreneurship uh, talent in our country because now because new technologies, lot of startups are coming, new employment generation is coming. Workforce is also India has the largest means that young populations we can get the workforce. Policies as it is government is supporting every time new policies and they're doing everything to support the MSMEs. And where we come is the financial needs, where banks and financial institutions they come into the financial needs when somebody starts the business. So now come to SBI. We have 24,000 network of branches where SMEs can they access the banking services. And when 10,000 plus, we have dedicated sales team where we have RM SMEs are there. They are the relationship managers. They are the one point contact for all the SME needs of a particular unit. So that is the model what we have. And we are serving 20 lakhs plus SME units in our bank. See, coming to the Mumbai market, we have a 19 SME intensive branches. Means where you do only intensive branches spread out from western side, southern and Thane and eastern Mumbai. And SMEC, that is a processing centers where we do low value loans up to 50 lakhs. Those are small traders or small businessmen that we do. Then RESMAC, that is a combination of retail and SME. This is what I'm telling on the structure where we are present and how we are serving the SME customers in Mumbai market. Then SCFU CPC, that is a supply chain finance CPC is there, where that dealer finance, vendor finance, that we are doing in this particular CPC center. Then SME CPC, that is high value loans we have at BKC. Surya Shakti Cell, where the solar power financing up to 1 megawatt, that is a special cell is there, that we are doing it. More than that, it can be done in any SME intensive branches. And we have altogether 55 relationship managers, which you call RMSMEs, and AGMS is 4, who are in the 4 different regions of the Mumbai market. So this is a bouquet of products, and I will not go through each and every one. If any products doesn't fit, then it will come under working capital or term loan. It's general product line. So you can see all these products are there. This is just a snapshot. Many products are available, which is not listed here. So depend. It is a customized product also. We can make it. Key determinants. As now various discussions we had before, Kasar also told that finance. When you are saying the finance you are not getting from the bank. So as you are doing business, the same way we are doing business. So you think like a business people, whom you are going to finance. Since you have a factory or you are trading, whom you have give credits. They are giving credits to you, right? So we will give the credit. Who has the capability to repay that? How will repay? If he has good business, good standing, good capital, then only. That's the same way we are thinking. So the perspective is different because you looking for the fund and we are partying in the fund. And we have the responsibility. This fund is not mine, it is of the public, yours only. So I have the certain responsibility which is guided by bank's rule, RBI rule, then FEMA rule, then government's rule. All these things combine in that I am discharging my duties. So maybe sometime I am not able to fulfill your expectations. Low interest rate, without security, but those questions are there. So you have to think in that way. Suppose you are a banker or you are a banker whom you are partner fund, whom you give credits. Likewise, I am thinking also. So it is fair for me to think in that way. Yes, sir? Okay. Now, credit history of the borrower. Same way, when you give a credit 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, how that person will negotiate with you. If he is in good standing, he will say, I will give 90 days, I will not give. Or some many other they will give it. So at that time, if you have pushed your product, then you will say, okay, I will give 100 days, right? Because you won't sell, and that you know that party will never default. Okay, I will get elongated period, or suppose you want, no, you give me in 40 days, I'll give discount. If he finds benefit, he will take it from you. The similar way, we also think the history of the borrower, whom you are giving or parting the fund. Purpose of the loan. Now, purpose, some they start a business, the startup, somebody says startup they are doing, some are established. So, if that purpose of loan, what you are doing, that should match with our bank's policy also, either we can give that kind of facility or part funding with that purpose. Your business may be, math calculation may be fine, that if you do one day, this much sell, then I'll get this much profit in month, in year you calculate. But practical situation is different. That expense is with us, not with me, maybe with my bank, where they have put different check and balances, different tools are there. I use that and assess the limit. Then requirement credit facility. As the rightly sir said, the credit facility. Now cash flow basis financing. Balance sheet financing, that is a traditional method we are doing. Cash flow also we are doing it. There is a separate tool. Our assessment is based on the cash flow as well as balance sheet. From that we will get the ratings, two ratings. One is cash flow basis, one is of balance sheet basis. Whichever is better, that we take. That is the way we are financed. Then capable to service the loan, security of loan. This is the greatest question now many have asked. Security is what happened. It is a fallback arrangement. That is not the primary business for us. If give my building or house or something, I will give the loan. It's not like that. Your business should be viable, but in case of any fallback, suppose business is business, there are various factors are there to get it success rate. So if something happened, then I should give some amount of money because I am also liable for the fund which I am giving to you. So that is the bank's policies, a certain category. They uh, they ask for the collateral. Now collateral is what happened. It depends upon the customer. Sir has said it based on ratings. All it is based on ratings. So how do you get the ratings? Of course, that is not in my preview now. Ratings is like that you're standing. So your balance sheet will say, your background will say, your experience will say, your product will say, your market will say, and how you manage your funds. All this all together will internal rating is there, external rating agencies also they are also doing. So that is also required and collateral is negotiated in many cases. Sometimes we do in 10 and 15% collateral also in manufacturing cases. Okay. So this is the way we do. Business is it is a very dynamic. It is there is no fixed setup rule like a retail home loan or housing loan. You have certain income, you will take this much EMI, then you will give a loan. It is not like that. Business is very dynamic. Ours processing also dynamic. But balance sheet financing, working capital, term loan, non-fund based facility, the overall whatever the a business required that we are doing it. See, now this forum is basically investment opportunity in Africa. So I just brought out this kind of facility we can provide to our business customers. See, this is not my domain because of forex related things as well, but we have a that uh, um, separate team who can provide you all this guidance and the branch level you can execute all this trade credits. All these trade credits you can see PCFC, PC, BR bill discounting. So and foreign exchange, and we can also help to raise the funds by of CP, LCDs, SCDs, and other financing, foreign currency loan also we can have. See, and down we can see SBI is the largest market in onshore USD. See, this is what we are doing it, not go through that. Business, this is a digital bank parallel with us. Slowly we are moving to digital bank. As I said, our history is more than 217 years. So you know that how it is difficult to change. Change is always it is difficult. So business, we are bringing all these products like CMP, everything you can do in all transaction related. CMP is the cash management product where you can efficiently, how you can efficiently make collection and payment. So that cash management you can do it. Earlier days you have to give check, you have to you have to arrange for the fund at the time issue check. It is not like that. Very instant like. So day to day we can do that. SC the supply chain finance, e-forex, e-trade. This is also available in business. That is for like corporate internet banking. CINB is there, no? Like retail internet banking, most of the people most of you have might be using that retail internet banking with your respective bank, like we have for corporate specific. FX retail, this is a platform developed by Clearing Corporation India for booking of exchange rates, and this is the main features. And minimum maximum transactions are given. This is by Clearing Corporation India. E-forex is for that is for CINB, that is for our bank product. Here we will get a benefit of this. So many currencies are there. In earlier, the FX retail we get USD and INR only. These are the in-house products. FX out. This is of retail sort of thing. May not be appropriate here. LRS up to 2.5. 2,50,000 we can remit that we do through any of the branches. And this is what our team, as I said, that four AGMs of SME are three Chaudhary, Devdup, Imran Basar. These are the contact points. So they will divert you to the nearest branches. These are the four zones. They are the head of the SME business. So anyone require any funding or any queries, they will direct to the nearest branches and they will help you out getting the resolution. And Shiva Chittan, that madam is she is sitting at the BKC, our local head office. This is our contacts, so you can keep this. And as I said, for forex related, we have a separate team that is a RTMO team. Here, this is the context. If anything you would like to know about a transaction related, you can speak to those people. They will also guide you. So this is all about my presentation. Now I'm open for questions.
So you have startup funds also?
The startup for branch is there. Fund the SRS said that the equity portion that is a separate product is there. That is
You have or you have to check? Already there, no? State Bank is there, all banks
we
are
have
there.
the startup branch.
Startup branch is there. And if you have for last 2 years I've started my business. If you have a negative balance, so still we get this thing, loan or,
Negative balance.
balance sheet is going in the loss. Like we have.
That is all startup that way only.
So
Valuation
you
more
support
and-
for that, or we get loan against that, or CGTMS, or anything like that?
So you can get it. Don't you can get it.
Because normally people, they see the balance sheet, if you have a minus balance, so it's
See, we have a different policy for startup. And for that specific startup branch is there at BKC.
okay.
So we can check out there because as I said, business is very dynamic. It is person to person, business to business. You can't say like in discussion like we will get the loan. And definitely your business is bright. Coming here, if you do well, then they will do. As we fit to our policy, they will do. BKC we have branches. Startup. Any questions there? Regarding CGTMC, somebody asked. CGTMC actually, as sir said, you check with PSU. We are friend of all seasons, you can say. So your bad days, good days, we are there, PSUs. So you can check with us. If you do calculation, collateral security you ask for 30%, 40%, 50%. But if you take the guarantee, CGTMC guarantee, the guarantee given by government is 75%, which is beneficial to us. But again, I will say it depends upon the business, our risk perspective, and our policy. If it fit to that, we will give it. Yesterday only we have sanctioned all that.
But as sir told, that collateral is backed by government.
Now, collateral is that guarantee is taken by the government. Okay. So we don't ask when, as sir has rightly said, if CGTMs you are taking and you are taking a guarantee also, then that cover is not there. That we are not doing it.
When we have, in that case, both parallelly.
Yeah, we have this.
Collateral and non-collateral.
We have up to 5 crores we can give the collateral free loan under CGTMSC, and certain portion you can have collateral also.
After 5
Beyond 5 if you require it. That you can. That hybrid product is there. Anything, sir? Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
I would like to say that SBI is always supporting us, and they are always a sponsor and always supported us from last so many years to the SME sector. And as everyone is asking about the CGT SME scheme, I will say that please visit them personally, speak to them. Or Mr. Mahesh Kumar is here, he is the director of SME Chamber of India. He can also help you, or he can also support you for these kind of schemes and for the finance, and you can be in touch with him for that purpose. Now I would like to invite Mr. Nagesh Rani. He is a marketing area head for Arise IIT India, and he is going to talk about what are the business and investment opportunities in African countries.
Than if you talk now if you're talking about the opportunities. Yes. आज भी हम अफ्रीका जाते हैं ना, तो एयरटेल, ऑरेंज, जियो कुछ नहीं लगता वहां पे हमें एक लोकल सिम ही लेना है. वहाँ बैंक्स लोकली, वहाँ की लोकली है, यहाँ की कोई बैंक्स नहीं, किसी ने एक्सप्लोर ही नहीं किया है. बट ये बड़ी बड़ी इंडस्ट्रीज है ना, इसलिए किसी ने एक्सप्लोर किया नहीं. अब छोटी इंडस्ट्रीज में जाओगे ना, होटल इंडस्ट्रीज सब इंडियन बैठे हुए हैं. उनके होटल, अपने यहाँ का 5 स्टार होटल है ना, तो वहाँ का उनका नॉर्मल होटल, बट ओनर इज इंडियन. ट्रैवल इंडस्ट्री इंडियन, गोल्ड इंडस्ट्री इंडियन, फार्मा इंडस्ट्री इंडियन, सब इंडस्ट्रीज आर इंडियन. एसएमईज सब जो बैठे हैं वो सब इंडियंस बैठे हुए हैं. नाइजीरिया एंड घाना you will find lots of IT related opportunities. Why? Nigeria, Ghana एंड तांजानिया. मैं आपको एक चीजें क्लियर करा देता हूँ पहले ही. अगर कोई भी इंटरेस्टेड है अफ्रीका में बिजनेस करने के लिए, तो आपको दो तीन चीजें मैं आपको पहले एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ कि फ्यूचर में भी आपके काम में आएगी. आरआईएस के साथ रही है नहीं रही, दैट्स नॉट अ मैटर. यस, अराइज इज अ joint venture company between African government and private funders. तो all infrastructure development, फिर वो रोड हो, कैबलिंग हो, लॉजिस्टिक्स हो, ट्रेन्स हो, पोर्ट्स हो, एयरलाइंस हो, आर डेवलप बाय अराइज. अफ्रीका गवर्नमेंट ने जगह दे दी है, बोले हमारे पास पैसा नहीं, आप डेवलप करो, तो अराइज डेवलप कर रही है.
भाई इंटरेस्ट हुआ व्हेन यू सेड कि वहां पे टैक्स फ्री आपको इनकम करके नोट छापना है. मैं वहां पे यूनिट डालूं टू अराइज और वहां पे अपना प्रोडक्ट बनाऊं और वहां की मार्केट्स को कैप्चर करने की ट्राई करूं. तो हाउ डज दैट वर्क?
अगर आप सी अफ्रीका जैसे इंडिया में तो आप कहीं भी आप पुणे में बैठ के आप यूपी सप्लाई कर सकते हो, पर वहां नहीं चलता. वहां अफ्रीका सेपरेट इनटू 3 डिफरेंट जोन्स, वेस्ट अफ्रीका, सेंट्रल अफ्रीका एंड नीचे थोड़ा सा अलग अफ्रीका है. वहां लोगों के ट्रेडिशंस भी अलग है, लैंग्वेजेस भी अलग है. जैसे वेस्ट एंड सेंट्रल अफ्रीका, दीज आर वेरी पीसफुल कंट्रीज, वहां सिर्फ फ्रेंच बोली जाती है. बट आप वेस्ट अफ्रीका से सेंट्रल अफ्रीका में आप सोचोगे बिजनेस करना तो पॉसिबल नहीं है. अगर आपको वेस्ट अफ्रीका में बैठे हो तो सिर्फ आप इकोवास, वेस्ट अफ्रीका में जो कंट्रीज आती है वही सप्लाई कर सकते हो. सेंट्रल अफ्रीका में करना है तो आपको वहां दूसरा यूनिट डालना होगा, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है. इंडिया पाकिस्तान वाला थोड़ा सा रेशियो है वहां पे. तो सेकेंड, आपका क्वेश्चन क्या था सर अभी?
ये था, देखो मैं आपको थोड़ा ये बता दूं मेरे माइंड में क्या चल रहा है कि अगर मैं वहाँ पे एक जॉइंट वेंचर करता हूँ एंड वहाँ के अफ्रीकन पार्टनर को ही
यस,
इन्वेस्टमेंट मैं करूँगा, वहाँ के रख के मैं वहाँ पे आपके यूनिट में एक डालता हूँ.
वहां से अगर आप लोकली आप सप्लाई करोगे,
मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जो है
यस,
वो वहाँ पे डालता हूँ बिकॉज वहाँ पे वो टैक्स फ्री वगैरह का फैक्टर होता है. हाउ विल दैट वर्क? और वहाँ पे ओवरऑल आईटी इंडस्ट्री का स्कोप क्या है? ये दो पहलू.
सी अगर आप वहाँ का लोकल मार्केट टारगेट करना चाहते हो तो यू कैन डू इट, देयर इज नो इश्यूज. बट आप वहाँ जैसे हम यहाँ कंपनी फॉर्म होती है प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, एलएलपी, प्रोपराइटर या लिमिटेड फॉर्म्स, वहाँ 2 ही कंपनी फॉर्म होती है. एक होती है प्राइवेट लिमिटेड और एक होती है लिमिटेड. प्राइवेट लिमिटेड में अगर आप एक्सपोर्टर हो तो टैक्स बेनिफिट अलग है, यू कम इनटू अ फ्री जोन सिस्टम्स. बट इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड टू टारगेटेड लोकल मार्केट्स तो आप इंसेंटिव कोड्स में आते हो, इन्वेस्टमेंट कोड में आते हो.
वो आपने बता रहा हो ना, वो तो वहाँ के रेसिडेंट होने चाहिए.
नहीं अगर आप वहां जाओगे ना, ऐसा ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि आप वहां जाके कंपनी फॉर्म नहीं कर सकते हो, वहां का लोकल पार्टनर लेना, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. आप वहां जाके भी आपका 1 साल का रेसिडेंशियल वीजा होता है वहां पे, आप वो रेसिडेंशियल वीजा लीजिए और कंपनी फॉर्म कर दीजिए. अगर आप नॉर्मल कंपनी फॉर्म करनी है आपको विदाउट नोटरी तो 5,000 रुपया, विद नोटरी तो 50,000 रुपया. आपने कंपनी फॉर्म कर ली ना, आपको इकोवास को सप्लाई करना है, तो अगर आप मेरे फ्री जोन में बैठे हो तो आपको इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी पे आप पहले मशीन लोगे तो 3% आपको टैक्स लगेगा, रॉ मटेरियल लोगे तो 24% टैक्स लगेगा. नहीं वो लगेगा, फ्री जोन में बैठे हो इसीलिए. और वहां से आप जब इकोवास में यानी वहां के डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में करोगे ना तो यू हैव 28% टैक्सेस. बट आपने यू आर इन्वेस्टर्स और आप बाहर कंट्री से आए हो तो आपको 15%, आपका जो भी इन्वेस्टमेंट होगा 10 करोड़ रुपया है तो 15 लाख रुपया आपको एक सब्सिडी बेनिफिट मिलेगा. वो वहां सेव हो गया एन्युअली, वो सेव हो गया. तो उसके अगेंस्ट जैसे अपना जीएसटी होता है उसके अगेंस्ट एडजस्टमेंट होता है ना, बस वो एडजस्टमेंट होता जाए. ये बेन और टैक्सेस के ऊपर आप यू हैव टैक्सेस उसके अब लोकल मार्केट कैटर करते हो तो. एक्सपोर्ट अगर आप एक्सपोर्ट हो तो जीरो, कहीं कुछ नहीं मिलने लगने वाला आपको.
तो आपने क्या बताया था कि वहाँ पे आपको कोई भी टैक्स वगैरह नहीं.
एक्सपोर्टर्स है तो नो टैक्सेस,
ओनली फॉर
ओनली फॉर एक्सपोर्टर्स, नो टैक्सेस फॉर एक्सपोर्टर्स.
Excuse me. One question, 3 questions, sir. One is, see, the political stability is a big question mark in majority of the African countries, and the dynamics of your thinking of industrialization of going into the industry. How we have to address that. Second is multiple currencies and how the your convertibility and all those things. And the third is that how is the arise and the SME's approach It means what you get and what we get, or what we have to offer. These are just three questions.
See, politically, if you're talking about the Africa countries,
Because I am working last 30 years.
yes,
in
yes,
Africa
yes,
from
हम मीडिया में देखते हैं अभी लास्ट एक महीने पहले ही गेबॉन में काफी इश्यूज हो गए, उससे पहले नाइजीरिया में हुए। मैं आपको एक चीज क्लियर कर देता हूँ कि वो जो इश्यूज चल रहे हैं ना, दैट वाज अ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन पीरियड ऑफ अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज, और वो रेगुलरली होते रहता है। एवरी कंट्री नीड अ रेवेन्यू, पैसा लगता है हर कंट्री को चलाने के लिए, और कोई भी लीडिंग पार्टी हो वो इंडस्ट्रीज को कभी टच नहीं करती। आपने देखा होगा गैबॉन में चल रहा है, नाइजीरिया में, वहां इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन के ऊपर इंडस्ट्री बंद हुई नहीं, वो काम चल ही रहा है। वाई? बिकॉज उस इंडस्ट्री में वहां के पॉलिटिशियंस का पैसा लगा हुआ है, गवर्नमेंट का पैसा नहीं लगा हुआ है, पॉलिटिशियंस का पैसा लगा हुआ है। तो कोई पॉलिटिशियन नहीं चाहेगा कि मेरा पैसा लॉस में जाए, इंडस्ट्री बंद होगी तो उसका पैसा लॉस में जाएगा। तो यस, देयर इज सम पॉलिटिकली गवर्नमेंट इश्यूज है, बट इज ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ये टाइम है, तो उससे कोई इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन पे कुछ इफेक्ट नहीं हो रहा। सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी सर, जैसे मैं आज हम बॉम्बे में घूमते हैं ना, वैसे हम वही घूमते हैं, तो ऐसा कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, कोई इशू नहीं है। मैं मेरे वीडियो शेयर कर देता हूँ, लोकल करेंसी हम लोग ऐसे ही जाके लोकल मार्केट में जाके हम लोग एक्सचेंज करते हैं। कोई सिर्फ हमारा बैक ऑफ द थॉट है कि अरे वहां लोग लूट लेते हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, कोई स्टोरी नहीं है। हाँ हाँ, कोई सर, मैं घूमता हूँ यहाँ, जैसे आज मैं स्टेशन डोंबिवली, वहां से मैं जैसे घूमते घूमते वैसे वो घूमता हूँ मैं। सी डिपेंड, आप कौन सी कंट्री की बात करते हो। मैंने सिर्फ आपको 10 कंट्रीज बताई जहां पे आई नो वेरी वेल, अगर मैं इंडिया से कोई इन्वेस्टर्स लेके जाता हूं तो वहां कोई इश्यूज ना हो। अगर आप मुझे यहाँ बैठ के अगर आप मुझे बोलोगे कि बांग्लादेश में क्या चल रहा है तो मैं कुछ भी बोल नहीं सकता, पाकिस्तान में क्या चल रहा है मैं तो बोल नहीं सकता। इसीलिए हमने वेस्ट और इसलिए सर वेस्टर्न और सेंट्रल अफ्रीका में हमारा प्रेजेंस है, कि वहां पे एक तो पहले बात तो वी हैव गुड टाई विद द पॉलिटिशियंस वहां की गवर्नमेंट के साथ, और दिस आर सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी, दिस आर फ्रेंच कॉलोनीज, और फ्रेंच कॉलोनीज में इस तरह के इश्यूज नहीं होते। दे आर वेरी पीसफुल पीपल एंड दे विल फोकस अबाउट देयर फ्यूचर्स, तो यहाँ इश्यूज कुछ नहीं है। एंड इफ यू टॉकिंग अबाउट द करेंसी,
What is it for you and what is the one who is approaching you? How is we understanding with the rise and the
see, Arise, we are convincing all Indian manufacturer and exporters to expand their business in our SEZ park and to grow yourself and grow their local economies. आपको वहाँ कुछ भी सपोर्ट लगता है, फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट, मार्केटिंग सपोर्ट, लॉजिस्टिक्स सपोर्ट, वी आर देयर in every SEZ park. We have a cluster team, we have marketing team, we have finance team, we have technical team, so आपको हर तरह का एक सपोर्ट वहाँ मिल जाता है। एंड हम लोग सिर्फ SEZ पार्क निकाला नहीं, वी हैव रेसिडेंशियल ऑल्सो, अब वही रही है, बच्चे के लिए स्कूल्स है, so it will be like I am not finding investors, I am finding a family members who can be a Arise families. हमें इन्वेस्टर्स चाहिए नहीं सर, हमारे फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग बताऊं, अराइज के पास इतना पैसा है कि इनिशियल स्टेज पे जब अराइज जब कैबॉन स्टार्ट किया था ना, काफी लोगों ने बोला था हम नहीं स्टार्ट करेंगे, हमने खुद फैक्ट्रीज लगा दी। अगर आपके पास यूएफ टेक्निकली स्ट्रांग, आप आइए, पैसा हमारा, आप रन कीजिए। ऑब्वियसली इन्होंने देखा कि यार पैसा खुद लग रहा है, जगह खुद दे रहा है, मैं रन कर रहा हूँ, तो ऑब्वियसली इन्होंने माउथ पब्लिसिटी की, एक पूरा जो वैक्यूम जो बना था ना नेगेटिव, वो खत्म हो गया। लोगों ने फिर अप्रोच किया, नहीं ठीक है हम भी इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, अगर ये खुश है तो हम भी खुश हो सकते हैं। तो इसी तरह से ये जर्नी स्टार्ट हुई है।
देखिए हम लोग एलपीजी लाइन के लोग हैं, अभी मेरे आपके एरिया में 4 कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हैं, ठीक है जी। जैसे आपका बेनिंग सोया, बेनिंग टेक्सटाइल, बेनिंग नैप सोया,
ट्रू
ये आपका
ट्रू।
लेकिन मेरे को एक बात बताइए कि वहाँ पे गैस का एलपीजी की अवेलेबिलिटी कैसे?
सर एलपीजी की अगर बात करो तो मैं आपको टेक्निकल टीम से वहाँ आपको मिला दूंगा। एक
मिला था, आई थिंक वो पहले यहाँ पे एमएनजीएल में थे, वहाँ पे सीएनजी लाइन थे, वो मुझे मेरी बातचीत
अभी नेचुरल गैस रिसेंटली अगर मिला हुआ है, 1 डेढ़ महीना हुआ है, तो वी हैव टू कम्प्लीटली ब्रीफ ऑन नेचुरल गैस, कि क्या क्वालिटी है, क्या रेशो है, कितनी अवेलेबिलिटी है एंड क्या फ्यूचर है, किस तरह से इंडस्ट्री को टारगेट करेंगे, किस तरह से सप्लाई करेंगे, तो मैं आपके साथ शेयर करता हूँ।
LPG manufacturing plant, like LPG tanks, आप लोग कैसे अर्ज करेंगे? वहाँ पे steel मिलती है?
हाँ मिलती है।
क्या मिलती है?
मैं आपको पहली बात तो आपकी जो जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स है, रॉ मटेरियल रिक्वायरमेंट, मैन पावर रिक्वायरमेंट, वो पहले यही क्लियर करा दूंगा कि रॉ मटेरियल अवेलेबिलिटी क्या क्या मिलेगी, स्किल लेवल्स मिलेंगे या नहीं मिलेंगे। एक, इफ यू वांटेड फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट एंड ऑल, तो आपका डीपीआर मुझे दे दीजिए, मैं भेज के आपको क्लियर, एक जूम मीटिंग पे सब चीज़ें क्लियर हो जाएगी। जब क्लियर हो जाएंगे देन वी विल गो, विल मीट इंटायर टीम, श्योर हो जाएंगे, विल मीट देयर लोकल अथॉरिटीज, गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटीज के साथ। इफ यू थिंक नहीं अभी हम कर सकते हैं ओवरऑल, ये इस तरह का एक प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट लेके, इस तरह से जमीन लेके हम काम कर सकते हैं, देन यू कैन साइन द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। आपने कहा बेनिन, बेनिन विजिट किया था? बेनिन में किससे मिले थे आप? क्या नाम था उनका? सी, हाँ बेनिन में निवेद बैठता है, तो आप निवेद से मिले थे? ठीक है, आप मुझे 1-to-1 क्वेश्चन हम लोग कर लेंगे, कोई इशू नहीं है। हाँ हाँ, डन 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 डन, पक्का सर। आप मेरे साथ ही चलिए, मैं लेके जाऊंगा आपको। वो सी कैसा होता मालूम है, जैसे वी आर इंडियंस, वी नो वेरी वेल, जो लोगों के साथ कंफर्ट जोन होता है ना, काम फटाफट हो जाता है। अभी मैं बोलूंगा वहां जाओ, उसके और आपकी नहीं जमी, बट मीडिएटर मैं बैठा हूँ, मैं लेके जाता हूँ सर, 3 दिन में डील क्लोज करके आ जाता हूँ।
I have visited all over Africa, Malawi, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, everywhere I visited.
आप आइए सर, मेरे साथ चलिए, मैं आपको जो भी आपकी क्वेरीज है वो पहले सब क्लियर करा के दे दूंगा। पूरा सपोर्ट मिलेगा सर। पावर सप्लाई वी हैव सोलर पावर, यस, मैं आपको अभी बताता हूँ, सोलर पावर का रेट 7 रुपया है सर। इन्वेस्टमेंट आप डिसाइड कीजिए, मैं नहीं, बिकॉज आपको अगर डोमेस्टिक मार्केट कैप्चर करना है या एक्सपोर्ट कैप्चर करना है, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि साल में आपका टर्नओवर क्या होगा। बेस्ड ऑन दैट आप मशीनरीज डिसाइड करोगे, बेस्ड ऑन दैट मशीनरीज आप लैंड डिसाइड करोगे, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट पूरा आपका डीपीआर बनेगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट बनेगा। मुझे तो जगह देनी है, आप बोलोगे मुझे भैया 1 लाख स्क्वायर फीट दे दो, मैं दे दूंगा, ये मेरा रेट है सर, ये पीबी शर्ट किस तरह चाहिए बताए, मैं ठोक के दे दूंगा। बट मेरा सबसे बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन ये है कि आपकी इंडस्ट्री विद इन 3 या 6 महीने में स्टार्ट होनी चाहिए। अगर वो नहीं होती है तो मुझे वहां की गवर्नमेंट को जवाब देना भारी पड़ जाता है कि हमने जगह तो ब्लॉक करके रखी है, पर अगर ऑब्वियसली अगर आपने जगह ब्लॉक करके रखी है, आपने काम चालू नहीं किया, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट नहीं होगी, रेवेन्यू जनरेट नहीं होगा, तो ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है। मिल जाते हैं सर, आपको टेक्निकल वी हैव टीम ओवर देयर जो आपको पूरी सपोर्ट कर देती है। डन डन सर, डन, पक्का पक्का सर, थैंक यू सो मच। मैं सर मेरा काम करने का तरीका बताता हूँ कैसे। अगर आप मेरे साथ आओगे ना, तो आपकी जो जो क्वेरीज है, एक दिन पूरा आपको इंडस्ट्रियल जोन विजिट करवाऊंगा। सेकेंड डे आपको वहाँ के जो लोकलाइज है, जो सेम बिजनेस आपके जैसा करते हैं, उनसे मिला दूंगा, तो 1-to-1 इंटरेक्शन हो जाएगा। क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही है लोकली, अपॉर्च क्या 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 हर्डल्स आ रहे हैं, देन यू कम टू नो। थर्ड थर्ड है आपको फाइनेंस टीम, लीगल टीम, क्लस्टर टीम, और उसके बाद प्रोजेक्ट हेड, उनसे मिला दूंगा। देन ये इन 3 डेज में आपके पूरे क्वेश्चंस क्वेरीज क्लियर हो जाते हैं, आपके एक आपका एक जो सिनेरियो क्लियर हो जाता है कि आपको चालू करना है नहीं करना है। करना है तो कितनी जगह में करना है, कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है, कितनी मशीन लानी है, क्या टैक्सेस जाएगा, साल भर में करूंगा तो कितना मेरा मार्जिन बैठेगा। तो ये 3-4 दिन में सब क्लियर हो जाता है।
मार्केट रिसर्च में कुछ हेल्प करते हैं क्या?
सर मैं आपको क्लियर बताता हूँ, लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल कम टू अस फॉर ट्रेडिंग। ट्रेडर्स में सर है ना, वहाँ जनरेशन टू जनरेशन लोग बैठे हुए हैं, काम कर रहे हैं, और इंडियन मार्केट है ना बहुत अच्छा है। क्यों? हम यहाँ रहते हैं, हमको मालूम है, बाजू में पैसा नहीं दिया तो उसके ऑफिस में आके बैठेंगे। अफ्रीका में काफी सारी इंडस्ट्रीज ऐसी है जिन्होंने सिर्फ ऑफिसेज बना के रखे हुए हैं, माल मंगाते और पैसा देते नहीं। तो मैं ट्रेडर्स के लिए इसलिए हमेशा बोलता हूँ, अगर आपका वहाँ रेपो अच्छा है, इफ यू नो एवरीवन ओवर देयर, सबको जिसको आप माल सप्लाई करते हो वहाँ का लोकलाइट बंदा है तो ही काम करना, डायरेक्ट काम मत करो। तो क्या सर, मैं आपको आज श्योरिटी दे दूंगा, कल पैसा नहीं आएगा तो ठीक नहीं लगता ना।
One last question, please.
I want to understand, will you be able to help in the place where those guys want to export? I would like to import from them.
सर इम्पोर्ट का आप कर सकते हो, कोई इशू नहीं है, बट इम्पोर्ट का कैसा है कि आप इम्पोर्ट क्या करना चाहते हो?
So it will be packaging or meat industry, may not be India, it can be anywhere.
आप कर सकते हो, नो प्रॉब्लम।
No, but आप help करोगे?
सी, मैं आपको जो वहाँ की जो लोकल अथॉरिटीज है, जैसे अगर आप यहाँ इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट, अगर इंडिया में कुछ इंपोर्ट करना है एक्सपोर्ट करना है तो यहाँ पर्टिकुलर गवर्नमेंट की टीम बैठी हुई, उनके साथ आपको मिला दूंगा।
उनकी टीम इंडिया में जो बैठी?
नहीं, वहाँ की टीम, इंडिया की टीम सर मैं बताता हूँ कैसा, आपको वहां से क्या करना है, तो आप वहाँ कहीं भी करना है ना, तो वहां ही बैठिए, वहां से बेस्ट है कि उनके पास ये अथॉरिटी है, पेपर सिग्नेचर से लेकर एवरीथिंग। तो वहां एक बार आपका रैपो रैपो अच्छा हो जाएगा तो फोन पे भी बाद में काम हो जाता है। तो वहीं बैठो, वहीं से काम करो। अब इंडिया में काम करना होता तो यहाँ से मिला देता मैं आपको।
So one of my friends is in Mozambique, and he locally purchase from farmer and give to the exporters, and he want to set up a company. Will you be able to assist in that?
हाँ, श्योर,
Because he's an Indian only,
नो प्रॉब्लम,
and I will give your number to him.
प्लीज प्लीज, पक्का।
I am also into agro field from last 14 years, and I have recently started my company. I am into like basically in trading only, but in future I am planning to expand for manufacturing because my main product is peanut,
ओके,
and Africa is having good peanut.
यस,
From there, lot of peanut is going, soybean is
Yes.
imported, and right now my company is importing 15 containers of food. Pigeon.
कुछ ऐसी इंडस्ट्रीज है जिनमें हम जेवी प्रोजेक्ट करने में इंटरेस्टेड है, लाइक पीवी शेड मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, टायर मैन्युफैक्चर, टू व्हीलर टायर मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, वेस्ट रिसाइकलिंग और कुछ टेक्सटाइल के प्रोडक्ट्स हैं। अगर कोई मास्टर है इस प्रोडक्ट में तो प्लीज हमें अप्रोच कीजिए। जो भी इन्वेस्टमेंट का अगर कुछ जो डीपीआर बनेगा, एज एग्जांपल 100 करोड़ का डीपीआर हो गया तो वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग 25 सीआर फ्रॉम इन्वेस्टर्स, 25 CR from Arise, and 50 CR we will take from their local bank. Arise will be a sleeping partner for 3 years. जब बिजनेस ग्रो हो जाएगा हम बाहर आ जाएंगे।
The person who is getting the technology, say for waste management,
हम्म,
you don't have to put anyone.
आप 20, अगर कोई फ्री में जाए तो अगर दूंगा ना सर तो कोई इंटरेस्ट होता नहीं सामने वाले का, 25% तो उसका लगेगा ही लगेगा। यस, एनी क्वेश्चंस? हाँ,
What is the minimum investment you are seeking?
सर कैसा है वहाँ पे, अगर आप इंडियन वहाँ जाओगे तो ऑब्वियसली आप सोचोगे मैं घर बार छोड़ के आया हूँ तो कुछ अच्छा ही कमाना है, तो आप मिनिमम पकड़ के चले 10 से 15 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट, वर्किंग कैपिटल और ये दोनों एसेट्स के आसपास हो जाता है। थैंक यू। एनी क्वेश्चंस? हाँ ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम।
How is the scope for engineering industry?
सर इंजीनियरिंग में आप क्या करते हो, बेस वो है ऑटोमोटिव?
No, in fact, we have exported import substitute machine to Ivory Coast.
ओके,
So similar projects we will be looking for.
हाँ, नो प्रॉब्लम। अगर आपका असेंबली है या इंजीनियरिंग में आप वो टूल से लेकर सब कुछ बनाते हो एंड फिर असेंबली?
Particular machinery.
ओके, असेंबली नहीं है, पूरा बनाना ही है,
Banana.
कर सकते हो, कोई इशू नहीं है। देयर इज लॉट्स ऑफ स्कोप फॉर नाइजीरिया, आइवरी कोस्ट एंड घाना एंड कॉन्गो, यहाँ सबसे बड़ा स्कोप है। तो अब मेरे पार्क, वी हैव पार्क एवरीवेयर, घाना में भी है, तांजानिया में भी है, नाइजीरिया में भी है, आइवरी कोस्ट में भी है। कोई भी एक पर्टिकुलर पार्क में आप अपना सेटअप चालू कीजिए, यू कैन टारगेट देयर मार्केट्स।
I will contact you.
या प्लीज, या थैंक यू।
एक्सपो होगा जी वर्ल्ड ट्रेड सेंटर जुलाई में, वहाँ पर अलग अलग इंडस्ट्रीज आ रहे हैं, तो उसमें हम आपको इनवाइट कर रहे हैं।
प्लीज, थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू।
Sir, Thank you, Mr. Rani, for giving such an insightful about the Africa, and I hope everyone understand what exactly the business opportunities are available for you. And don't worry, we will be sharing his number and all the details with you. And now I would like to invite Mr. Sivraj Nandlal, Economic Counselor, Economic Development Board from Mauritius, from Consulate of Republic of Mauritius, and his topic is Comprehensive Economic Cooperation and Partnership Agreement between India and Mauritius, Opportunities and Challenges.
Thank you, ma'am. And so thank you to SME Chamber for giving me this opportunity to come here and speak to you about Mauritius, first of all. What the opportunities, especially on the CECPA. So namaskar to all of you and also to my fellow panelists here on the dais. So one question before we start. So to make it more interactive, as Bhuptaji said. So one question from you. Before you came here, have you ever heard about this agreement between India and Mauritius? Comprehensive Economic Cooperation and Partnership Agreement. Anybody has heard about it? Nobody. Okay. So that's one thing. This is the agreement that has been signed between India and Mauritius in February 2021. The External Affairs Minister of India, Jai Shankarji, so he went to Mauritius and it was signed during his presence in February. And it became operational in April 2021. So now it's almost more than 2 years since it's operational. This is the first agreement that India has signed with any African nation. My second question to you is, did you know that Mauritius is also part of Africa? Yes. Okay, good, very good, thank you. So at least that gives me the comfort because after we heard from you, I think we are all here to convey one single message from our side is about how to grow your business, take your business to the next level and prosper and become more prosperous. When we look at SMEs, whether it is in India, Mauritius, Africa, everywhere, SMEs is always looking for support. When we say support, it's looking for support from government, from finance, from infrastructure, from all sides. This is what SME is looking for. And you heard from our colleague from Arise, they're already supporting from the infrastructure side. So they're coming here and giving the infrastructure. Now the onus is on you to take that next step, that risk, I will say that next step, which also involves the risk that you take and make that next step to go and start that business there. Because it's like doing Sat Samandar Par. You're here in India, but you have to do Sat Samandar Par and then be there to start that business from that foreign land. Similarly, in Mauritius, it's the same thing. So before we go into that, I'll just take you briefly about Mauritius. So here we will speak about the economic architecture of Mauritius and that agreement that I mentioned between Mauritius and India, that is a CECPA. But before that, that strong partnership that Mauritius and India has, and the opportunities where you can invest and why you should be looking at Mauritius in terms of your investment. So very quickly, in terms of the architecture of Mauritius. So we are a small population. We're a small country, only 13 lakh people, 1.3 million. I think in one single area of Mumbai, you will see that size of people. But we are part of Africa, and this later you will see how Mauritius becomes very important for you as a springboard, a platform to get into Africa. So 13 lakh people, and the size of the island is only 2,000 square kilometers, but we have a huge, what we call an exclusive economic zone, which is almost 2.3 million square kilometers. That is water, sea. Real GDP growth rate that last year it was very, after 2 years of pandemic and lockdown and everything, so we picked up very nicely last year, 8.7% that we grew. We have a hybrid system of law, which is legal, in terms of the legal infrastructure. So it is the English common law and also the French Code Napoleon, as we say, Code Civil. So it's a hybrid system of law. But most of the laws, modern laws today, are written in English. So we became independent 55 years back, 1968. At that time, the GDP was only dependent on agriculture, one single sector that was supporting the economy. Poverty was rampant, no jobs, nothing. So it was doomed to be a failure, as it was said by V.S. Naipaul and also by another economist who was Mead. So they say that Mauritius is doomed for failure. But we took the courage, our leaders at that time took the courage and took the country through those hardships. And today we have a GDP per capita of more than 10,000 US dollars. The economy is diversified. So we have started from agriculture, diversifying into import substitution, industrialization, and then into services-based economy, which is tourism, financial services, logistics, healthcare, ICT, film industry today. A lot of Bollywood movies are being shot in Mauritius. So like that, we have diversified the economy, and now we are moving more into innovation-driven economy. So that partnership that is there between India and Mauritius, it has stood the test of time. In fact, when you look at how Mauritius became, I would say, part of India, in the sense that the migration that happened like almost 200 years. In fact, in November, we'll be celebrating, I think, the 86 or 187th year of arrival of indentured laborers in Mauritius. So we celebrate it as a national day. It is a holiday also in Mauritius. So that's how the relation between Mauritius and India started. And we have developed diplomatic relationship between India and Mauritius. It's almost the same year that India became independent. That is 75 years of diplomatic relationships has existed. Almost 100 companies or more now from India have set up and are firmly established and also very successfully developing and growing in Mauritius, contributing, of course, to the local economy. We have a taxation treaty between India and Mauritius that has allowed FDI to flow into India over the years. When India became open in terms of its economic architecture, that is in 1991, that's when really the investment flow into India started to flow from Mauritius. And over the years now, cumulatively, it's more than 165 billion US dollars of FDI that has flown into India through Mauritius. I spoke about the agreement. We will come to that later. And then some projects which are being developed is like the which have already been developed, and also these projects are on a G2G agreement. That is a Metro Express. It's a new modern system of transportation which is there. And the Metro Express, I think it's the first project in terms of a rail project on an island, first in the world. The hospital healthcare, then we have an exchange in terms of, this is a second exchange. We have a first exchange, and now this is second exchange. Supreme Court, a new building. Again, these are the projects that have been developed with the support of India, and there are some more coming in the solar energy, training, healthcare again, and yeah. So when you look at some of the figures that we see in terms of that business-wise, or what's happening between India and Mauritius, you will see that we are a net importer from India. So our imports are more skewed towards India than any other country. India has become our main trading partner for the past, I would say, 5 to 6 years. However, when you look at the composition of that trade, I mean, the import that has happened over the years, it's mostly oil products, that is fossil fuel oil, that is, because we don't have fossil fuel oil, so we have to import all that. So mostly oil products, which is the petroleum products, as we say. And our exports to India is only like $56 million. When I say only, it's a small amount compared to what we're importing, but with the agreement in place now, that is a CECPA, now we see that the export from Mauritius into India has started increasing and is picking up very nicely. Some of the Indian companies which are present here, so we have the PSU, you have the large companies, we also have the SMEs also as well, and across sectors, healthcare, energy, financial services, infrastructure, IT, telecommunications, and all. So let's come to the main crux of this presentation. So we will speak about the agreement, CECPA, as I mentioned that this was signed in February 2021. There are three main components to this agreement. One is on trade in goods, the second one is on trade in services, and the third one is about the general economic cooperation. So when we speak of the trade in goods, right? In the agreement, 615 made in Mauritius product categories can be exported to India under the agreement, I say that. Any product can be exported to India, but under the agreement, these products can be exported to India under a duty preference advantage. So some of them will come into India duty-free, some of them will come at reduced duty, and also we have TR2, that is tariff rate quotas. Similarly, for Indian products, there is a list of 310 products. You will ask me, but India is producing more than Mauritius. Why it's only 310? Simply because we already have liberalized our customs, I would say, import duty structures. And so most of the products that are being imported in Mauritius are already duty-free. So that's why you will see only 310 products. Now, a few questions. If you think about Mauritius, small place, only 13 lakhs people, no natural resources. Our only resources is us, people, as I would say, talents, right? But we are producing garments. We are producing high quality garments for major global brands. And these garments are being exported to US, to France, UK, Spain, Italy, Germany, to South Africa. In fact, now South Africa has become our main export market. Mauritius' main export partner is now South Africa. Similarly, we have sugarcane, as I mentioned earlier, at independence, we were entirely dependent on sugarcane cultivation. So sugarcane has been there for more than 4 centuries. Now we are producing special sugars, which we are exporting to 55 countries in the world, Europe, Asia, and also to North America. Medical devices, when I say medical devices, it's not like the syringes or the basic stuff, but rather high-end, like catheters, stents, prostheses, and all that. So Mauritius is producing that. We have companies that are producing medical devices, and these medical devices are exported to regulated markets. North America, Europe, but also to India. In fact, our main export market for medical devices is India. A lot of the medical devices are being imported into India. We have, as I mentioned, that we are surrounded by water, so we have a major seafood processing industry, mainly tuna fish. So it's about being either frozen, chilled, or canned, processed, and then exported. So again, exported to Europe, US, Asia, other parts, Japan, China, and all those places. Again, these products are being processed in Mauritius and exported, as I mentioned. We also produce rum, liquor, because we have sugarcane, so it's not only the special sugars. In fact, when we look at our sugar industry today, what has happened is that we have left nothing that comes out from the sugarcane, from the sugar cane, yeah. Everything that comes out from that plant is used entirely. It's for the special sugars, it's for liquor, cane, molasses, it's for energy. We are burning the bagasse to produce energy, so everything is being used today. And this technology has been developed over the years. And again, we are exporting to EU, US, and other places. Now, when we speak about opportunities under the agreement, the SECPA, so anybody of you here who is importing products from outside India? Anybody is importing products from outside India? Okay, great. So you would be knowing how import works and all that. And I'm sure many of you are also exporting your products outside of India, right? So yeah. So now under SECPA, when I mention about all these products which are being manufactured in Mauritius, I'm just giving you a few products, and there are many more of that. So these products have a market also in India, but we will be talking about that market, which will be a niche segment, right? For example, if we are importing garments, it has to be, for example, in a store like M&S or H&M or things like that. So there is an opportunity if anybody, and these products will come to India duty-free. So anybody would be interested, we will be happy to discuss and take this forward with you. We will connect you with our local manufacturers so that you discuss all the commercial matters. My role is just to facilitate that for you, and then you take it from there. So like I mentioned, so special sugar now we have under the agreement that 40,000 tons of special sugar can come into India at 10% duty, import duty. Normal import duty into India is 100%, but under the agreement for special sugar from Mauritius is going to be 10%. Similarly for rum, yeah.
When you say special sugar, sugars have names, right?
This is the Demerara, Muscovado, and all those type of sugars, right? And when I said that we're exporting, for example, to North America, these these special sugars in North America, they are available in stores like Starbucks, coffee shops like Starbucks. They are using the special sugars which is being produced in Mauritius. Yeah. So rum, beer, wine. So import duty in India for rum from, for example, if we take a country like Mexico, for example, it is 150%. But from Mauritius, it's going to be only at 50%. Garments, 7.5 million pieces can be exported to India duty-free. Canned tuna again duty-free for 7,000 tons. I mentioned it's about trading goods, but it's also about trading services, the agreement. We're speaking about the agreement. So under trading services, there's 31 subsectors which are covered into this, from insurance, financial services, telecommunications. It goes right up to tourism and translation services. So a whole range of sub-services, sectors and services have been opened for business to happen between India and Mauritius. And when we speak of services, we have to understand, for example, sir, you're interested into IT and technology and all that. So I heard you very rightly that you were mentioning about how to do your business. When we speak of goods, it's very clear. It's a duty advantage. If it is duty-free or some import duties will be there. But when it comes to services, it's different. As per the WTO definition, so there are 4 modes of supply that you have to look at. Is, for example, the movement of the people or the presence of the firm in that country. So it's like that. There are 4 modes of supply for services. So these will be covered as per the agreements that are reached between the 2 countries in terms of the modes of supplies for transfer of people from here to India, to Mauritius, or from Mauritius to here. That's how it works. Just 1 mode, but there are many more. So, and when we speak of services, again, Mauritius is a major international financial center. I mentioned earlier that is $165 billion of investment has come into India over the years. But also, when you look at what India is doing in Africa, for example, Arise is in Africa. I'm not speaking only of Arise, but many more. 90% of that FDI, which is going from India into Africa, is going through Mauritius Financial Center. So 90%, so that's a huge number, which is happening from India into Africa. We are also a leading regional logistics and distribution hub. So we have state-of-the-art facilities, which is just next to the port. So in terms of logistics costs, we always hear our leaders from India talking about the logistics cost being into double-digit figures. They want to bring it up to single-digit. But in Mauritius, you will see it very competitive because you can have your warehouse just next to the port. So that's how fast and efficient and also competitive it can be in Mauritius for you. We are a bilingual population. And when we look at this advantage of being bilingual, basically when I say bilingual, we speak English and French, which we learn at school. But our population also can speak Hindi, can speak Bhojpuri, or the local language, which is Creole. So at least we are very versatile. But let's take the 2 bilingual I mentioned about English and French. Because why I'm saying that, Africa, you have English-speaking, but also French-speaking countries. So like Gabon, Benin, Togo, and all those are French-speaking countries. Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, these are English-speaking countries. So when we are a bilingual population, companies, global companies I'm speaking about, they have seen this unique advantage of being positioned in Mauritius and growing their business. For example, here I mentioned Infosys. Infosys, they have a banking product, I'm sure you must be knowing about it, Finacle, right? Which they have made Mauritius their regional headquarters for the Francophone market. So France, but also the French-speaking African markets. So they are serving these markets from Mauritius. Similarly, there is Huawei, which is a Chinese company. They have their shared services center in Mauritius for the whole of Africa. So that's what they're doing. In terms of the general economic cooperation, so the main thing we will see at the last, in the last line, which is about setting up of an Indian SEZ in Mauritius. That agreement makes provision. And if Arise would be interested in that, so we'll be more than happy to to talk to you, sir, and take this forward in terms of this development of the SCZ in Mauritius. Because that opens up opportunities also for you, operators, economic operators, to explore this SCZ, to manufacture or to have your service-based business there and then grow your business. Because when I'll come to the slide on the world market from Mauritius, then you will understand what I'm trying to say. So some of the opportunities here in terms of investment, these are across sectors. Earlier I mentioned at the beginning, I mentioned that now we are a diversified economy. So it's all about manufacturing, construction, tourism, logistics, healthcare, wholesale, financial services, IT, digital technology, knowledge, agro-industry, and all those things. So why should you think about Mauritius? Somebody spoke about safety or security. Mauritius is very safe. We have agreements. When I say agreements, it's about treaties, tax treaties, but also investment protection agreements, which are very important when an investor is thinking about how to minimize their risk when they're investing in a country. So Mauritius can offer that sort of opportunity and platform for you to look into. So it's a conducive, it offers a conducive business environment. The infrastructure, you will see that it is a very good infrastructure. The advantages that in the different sectors, again, there are very good advantages which are offered. We don't, I must say here that we don't give 0% corporate tax. Certain activities, yes, but across the board, it's not available as it is available in the rest of Africa. I must be very, very honest about it. But the overall advantage that you will see that Mauritius offers may tilt the balance for you to look at Mauritius at the end of the day. So lifestyle is very good. The business-friendly environment is there. As I mentioned, the infrastructure. So talent also is there. So this is what you see in terms of the infrastructure. I mentioned about the metro, the port, the airport, and the road network and all that. I'm sure many of you must have visited Mauritius, right? Yeah. So in terms of the contribution, you will see that manufacturing is the top contributor to the economy, 13.4%. Then we have financial services, distribution, and it goes on and on like that. When I meet many of my friends from India, they tell me tourism is the biggest industry in India, in Mauritius, sorry. I say no, tourism is only part of it. In fact, manufacturing. And when I tell them manufacturing, they ask me, but what Mauritius is producing? You say manufacturing is the biggest industry, but what is Mauritius producing? But at the end of the day, we are producing a lot of good things. We don't have engineering, like heavy engineering products, but we produce goods like garments, I mentioned, medical devices, jewelry, and all those things, and food processing and all that. So that makes manufacturing. So this is how the economic architecture is. Just to tell you that we are also first in terms of ease of doing business in Africa, and for more than 15 years now. And there are some other indices, again, where we are very well ranked. It's a good place to start to look at in terms of working and all that. Minimum investment, somebody was asking about minimum investment. In Mauritius, it's only $50,000, approximately 40 lakhs INR. So that's minimum. And then, but of course, when we say minimum, it will also depend on your project. So if your project is worth 2 crores, so you have to invest 2 CR. We give you permits as investors. We give you a permit for an initial period of 10 years, and this can be renewed after that. You can also go opt for PR. That also is possible. If you're bringing talent, if you're bringing people from India, again, we give a work permit, or which we call an occupation permit for 10 years again. So that's how flexible we are. So the economic development strategy of Mauritius has been based on 3 main pillars, which is about manufacturing, about the high tech, and the financial services. And the strategy has been to accelerate established sectors, to diversify, and also to go into the innovation sectors as well. What are the advantages of setting up in Mauritius? So you can set up a company, register a company within a day, 1 day you can do that. No minimum capital is required, but when we speak of project minimum investment, it is $50,000 US. 100% foreign ownership, you don't need a local partner, but you will need a resident director. That's different. No foreign exchange control, so your money can flow freely in and out of the country. You just have to inform your bank, and then your bank will move your capital where you require that to move. The income tax scale now is progressive between 10 and 15%. Earlier it was 15% across the board. Now it is between 10 and 15%. So make it more interesting for income earners so that they don't pay a lot of taxes. Flat 15% tax on corporate income. However, certain activities I mentioned, if somebody wants to, I think there's somebody who is doing formulations, right? Somebody who's doing formulations, manufacturing of pharmaceutical formulation. So if you set up a pharmaceutical manufacturing company or business in Mauritius, you will benefit from a tax holiday of 8 years. So for a period of 8 years, you don't have to pay any taxes. And after 8 years, when you're starting to, when you export your products, right, the corporate tax rate, as I mentioned, is 15%. But if somebody is an export-oriented company, for example, a lot of garment companies are exporting, so they will pay only 3%. Export-oriented companies, they pay only 3% tax. Now, this is something that I wanted to explain a little bit. So when we speak about Mauritius, I mentioned about the agreement, that is a Comprehensive Economic Cooperation and Partnership Agreement, CECPA. This shows you how Mauritius is also very interesting and attractive proposition for you to explore when you're manufacturing a product and you're looking for export markets. Because Mauritius has access to more than 70% of the world market in terms of preferential market access. So it starts with US, UK, EU, Africa, the whole of Africa now, India, China, Turkey, and Pakistan. So we have preferential market access. What this means is that duty-free access. Products qualifying as Mauritius origin, when they're exported, they will benefit from duty-free access into these markets. I'll just take one example for your benefit. We take the example of garments. We are producing a lot of garments. I mentioned to you that now South Africa has become our main export market. So if you're producing garments in India and you're exporting your made in India garments to South Africa, there is a 43% import duty in South Africa. The same garment, you say, okay, you will do it in Mauritius, it becomes made in Mauritius. When you're exporting to South Africa, it is duty-free. So immediately you have a 43% duty advantage on the garment. As I mentioned, you're export-oriented company, you're paying only 3% corporate tax. So that's how beneficial it becomes for you to look at Mauritius in terms of developing activities, manufacturing activities. But it's not only for manufacturing, it can also be post-services based activities. We have a system of a premium visa, that is, it's a long stay visa if somebody wants to come and stay like for more than 6 months. So you apply for the visa, it's an online process, you apply, you get it, and it is a free of cost visa. So Africa, as it was mentioned earlier, it's a continent of 55 countries, right? Population-wise, it's almost the same as India. So market-wise, I would say it's same as India. It also has a demography that is still a young population. So resources are plenty in Africa, plenty of resources. Somebody was speaking about LPG, I believe. If you go next to Mauritius, that is in East Africa, which is Mozambique, there is LPG. If you want to explore that possibility, this is also possible. However, when we say Africa, it's not just one country, it's 55 countries. So each country will have its own rules and regulations. So you have to look at all that before you decide where you want to go. Mauritius can be your platform for penetrating Africa and developing your business. So you can always think about that. So a quick word about Economic Development Board. That's also an organization that I represent here in India. So the main responsibilities or role of the EDB Mauritius is strategic economic planning, that is advising government on strategic matters, trade and investment promotion, business facilitation, and also branding the country as a business and investment destination. When we look at India and Mauritius, I think we have to think of it in terms of the opportunities that it creates, that cooperation, but also from a very optimistic view. And there is a famous saying that says, if you want to go fast, you can go alone, but if you want to go far, let's work together and make the journey together. So I would like to stop here and thank you very much.
Any questions?
If you have, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Sir, what about cross-country exports, whether it is permissible there? For example, you say garment, it is manufacturing Mauritius. But suppose if you manufacture in India and keep a training center in Mauritius and export to Africa, will we get that facility or the benefits? Because if it is consumed there, maybe some duties may be applicable. But if it is a cross-country, what is the rule?
We do not stop you. We do not stop you from this activity. So trading is allowed, perfectly legal. Only thing when your goods are landing in the country where you're exporting in Africa, the import duties from that country will be applicable. I gave you the example of South Africa. So if you're exporting Indian garments, Mauritius, and then Mauritius, South Africa, so 43% import duty will be there in South Africa. That is applicable. Yeah.
Can you highlight on that specific part? I have not read the special agreement 2021. So, from a Indian company point of view, can you highlight that specific clause or the point which can benefit an Indian businessman to set up a IT unit over there, hardware-based IT?
Hardware-based.
Hardware-based.
Okay. So would it?
Not the software.
Yeah. Would it be some manufacturing?
Software combo.
Yeah. Would it be some manufacturing also happening when you say hardware-based? Yeah. Then again, look at Mauritius as an export platform. So you manufacture and then you export. So under the different agreements that Mauritius has with Africa, with Europe.
I want to understand from that agreement between India and
Okay.
South Africa.
Yeah. Between Mauritius and India. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Why it will be especially beneficial?
Right. I will, that we can take it bilaterally. You'll have to give me your HS code of your products. Then we will check in this agreement whether it is covered, because there is a list of 615 products, as I mentioned, from Mauritius to India and 310 from India to Mauritius. But as I know, subject to confirmation, is that IT products are duty-free in Mauritius, as I know. I'm saying, but it's subject to confirmation. So we can take it bilaterally. You'll let me know your HS code of your product, and then we can give you the details how it operates within the agreement. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nandlal, for giving us a brief introduction about the Mauritius, because everyone knows Mauritius more from the tourism point of view, and it's a well-known destination to visit from the travel industry. So today we understand that what exactly the Mauritius is also offering us as an investment and as well as from the business point of view. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Mr. Milind Kulkarni, and he has worked 10 years in Marks, big shipping company, and now he is doing the PhD into the private ports. I would like to invite him and to give brief about major gateway ports for Africa.
Thank you. Yes, it is my privilege, and I really thank the organizers to give me an opportunity. You must be wondering at this age, still I am a student, and the reason is because what I could not complete in my young age, now I am completing. Anyway, the idea is, since the symposium is about Africa, I thought it is relevant to introduce the shipping or the ports in Africa. If you look at Africa, it's a huge continent and it's a very beautiful continent. And I have spent 10 years on field in these countries. And some of the esteemed speakers mentioned that there are 55 countries, 56 countries in Africa, and I have the privilege of visiting at least 30 countries out of it. So I have seen the culture, I have seen the people, I have interacted with them, and I have worked with them. And I must say that the most beautiful people live in Africa. Uh, After this, while listening to the other esteemed speakers, I was feeling as if I am in Africa because of the issues that they raised and they discussed. Now, today I am going to talk about the ports in Africa. Uh, I will skip the introduction. And now, if you see the African map, broadly it is divided into two parts as far as ports are concerned. One is the eastern part, and the other one is the western part. As you know, Africa was a continent ruled by Europeans for a longer time. It was distributed between them as if they cut the cake, and some parts went to the French speaking people, some part went to the English speaking, and some are with the Portuguese, very little of it. There are countries in Africa which were named after European persons, Rhodesia, for example. So now it is called Zimbabwe, but the countries were ruled by this. Of course, you are aware about the slave trade and other stuff, but Africa is a rich source for the raw material. And if you go today to Africa, more than India, China has invested a lot to get access to the raw materials, minerals and metals, agri products, etc. The idea is that if China wants to run a workshop for the world, they need the raw material, and with that view in mind, they have done the part. Now, I will take you through the eastern part first, and which is more close to India, and one by one, I will quickly take you through because time is limited. I know you are already tired listening to many dignitaries here. Uh, if I take you to the first port, which is Kenya, and let me tell you, if you go to Nairobi or Mombasa, and if you walk in the streets, you will not find any difference. You will feel as if you are walking in India. There is a pawn shop available, there is a vada pav available, everything is there. So nothing is different. The port is a big port, or rather the major port of Kenya. The port has got all the facilities of a modern port. Uh, I tell you one big difference between African ports and the other advanced ports. One is the demand for services are quite huge, as well as at the same time the facilities available are limited. So congestion, the delays are very common in these ports. Of course, there are certain ports which, in spite of all these limitations, they are performing at a very high speed compared to any other international port. Mombasa, if you see, Kenya basically imports machinery, transportation, equipment, petroleum products, motor vehicles, iron and steel, resins, plastics, etc. Agricultural products are also central to the Kenyan exports. Now, one of the major difference, if you see, the logistics cost in overall Africa are very high. There is one basic reason for that, because what is exported from Africa is in bulk, whereas what is imported comes into container. Now, when a container comes into Africa with cargo, naturally after the cargo is delivered, the empty container has to be positioned back to the center, either Europe, Singapore, Dubai, etc. So the return cost is also charged, and that is why usually the freight rates are very high, besides the other reasons. So that is one reason. So on one hand, the exports are in bulk vessels and the imports are in containers. Other export items includes textile, coffee, tobacco, iron and steel products, petroleum products. Now, Mombasa is a very busy port on the eastern part of the country. The second port, which is a big port, is Dar es Salaam, which is the capital of Tanzania. The port again is, of course, Tanzania and Kenya are English speaking countries, so less difficulties for Indians to interact. Culturally, it is almost same. We have trading links long back, and 95% of Tanzania's import exports are going through this Dar es Salaam port. Here again, the products that are exported are tobacco, coffee, cotton, cashew, nuts, tea, and clothes. Zanzibar clothes, if you know, is close by, so that is another export commodity. Uh, the imports are mostly transport equipment, machinery, construction material, oil, fertilizers, industrial raw materials, and consumer goods. These are the some of the major commodities which are going through the Dar es Salaam port. The next port is Beira, Mozambique. It is a Portuguese-speaking country, small country but very important country as far as world, I mean, maritime routes are concerned. And it is serving the hinterland of Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, Congo, Beira, uh, okay, Congo. So these are the countries which are landlocked countries and served either with through Mozambique or to some extent the other ports in the vicinity. The capacity of this terminal is 300,000 TEUs. Okay, if you compare it with India, it may be small, but it is important from African point of view. Again, here, Beira terminal, which is important, I mean, main terminal, container terminal, which has got the modern facilities. Now, principal exports passing through Beira are ores, tobacco, food products, cotton, hides, and skins. The main imports are liquid fuels, fertilizer, wheat, heavy equipment, textile, and beverages. Now, if you visit Mozambique, you will get a feeling that you are roaming in Goa. Culturally, Goa and Mozambique share a lot of common things because of the Portuguese rule. Next port in Mozambique, which I have picked up, is Maputo. It is having a container terminal which is almost like Mozambique, the Beira port. Maputo has slightly bigger capacity, 350,000 TEUs. TEUs here, I mean, is 20 feet equivalent unit. That means if you see a 40-foot container, that is considered as 2 TEUs. Now, there are other facilities for the fisheries industry. There are reefer plug points which are plenty available there. Uh, then we come down to in the map to the southern part of Africa, which is South Africa. Durban traditionally is a very important transshipment hub. The Durban port is the main port as far as South Africa is concerned. There are other ports like Port Elizabeth, Cape Town is another port, but Durban has got a strategic importance because it is connected to Gulf, to India, and to the Far East at the same time. Almost all containers here are handled at DCT, the Durban Container Terminal. The links, as I mentioned, are to Far East, Middle East, Australia, Southern America. It has got connectivity to almost all ports in the world. It is again, Durban is mini India. If you walk into the terminal or in the city, you will not find you are in a foreign land. You will feel at home. Major exports, diesel trucks, chemicals, metals. Imports are petroleum products and small cars. Majority of the cars also are exported from India. The next port is Port of Cape Town. It's a beautiful city, ranking in the first 5 best cities in the world as far as tourism is concerned. And there are cargo handling units there. The one is the container terminal with 6 deep sea berths. I mean, if you go to Cape Town and if you go to the Table Mountain, you will get a very nice view of the terminal, which is down below. Cape Town, if you know history, Vasco da Gama came via Cape of Good Hope and reached India. And Cape Town was the fueling station. And the fueling station, in the sense, they used to refurbish or replenish the stocks of foods, fruits, etc. on the vessels in Cape Town. The Cape Garden is still there, which is very much in the heart of the city. Uh, the next port, I am moving now towards the west, Walvis Bay. Walvis Bay is the main port of Namibia. Namibia is another beautiful country, very safe, very lovely country, and the container terminal in Walvis Bay handles, almost 3,000 vessels calls per year. Uh, and the cargo handling is 5.3 million. Main port, there is no other big port in Namibia. Population wise is very less, very few people. For miles together you drive and you don't see a person. So if you miss the road, you will not know whom to ask, etc. And the major exports are diamonds, uranium, lead, zinc, tin, silver, tungsten, food and live animals and manufactured products. What Namibia imports is food products, petroleum products and fuel, machinery, equipment, chemicals, mostly from South Africa. If you see the map, it is connected, well connected by road, and there are no restrictions between Namibia and South Africa. So majority of the imports in Namibia are coming from South Africa. Now I am moving still further up in the west, and the next important port is port called Luanda. You must not have heard the name, but Angola, the capital of Angola is Luanda, and there is a big port in the capital city. It has got liquid bulk containers, liquid bulk terminal, container terminal, passenger terminal, ro-ro offshore terminal. It has got a big oil industry. After Nigeria, Angola is the second largest oil producing country in Africa, more than 1 million barrels a day, and the economy is centered around the oil industry. The terminals, one is owned by APM terminal called Sogester, the other one is owned by DP World, that is Dubai Port World. Earlier, congestion, problems in getting your container, all those problems are now behind the back. The terminals are working very well. They are more efficient. You don't have to search your container. It will be delivered to you the day when you ask for it. Now moving further, you will find Lagos, the capital, no, not capital, capital is Abuja, Nigeria. Lagos is the main port of Nigeria. Again, Nigeria is very big population, demands are very high, the requirements are very high. The ports are usually congested. There are a lot of turnover there. There are other ports like Port Harcourt and other ports, small ports, but the major port is Lagos, which is in Apapa. Lagos Port Complex has 5 private container terminals, which is again a big thing. And again, world's major shipping companies are operating these terminals. There is a huge improvement because when I was there, I have seen things changing, and nowadays they can compete with any other international terminal. Again, Nigeria, as I mentioned earlier, is the country which is producing a lot of oil, and therefore the major exports are crude oil and fuel. They import maximum machinery, vehicles, electrical and electronics equipment, which are their major imports. In the industry in Nigeria, there is a huge presence of Indians. You will find a lot of industries which are owned and operated by Indians, but still there is a lot of scope for that. Okay, Ghana, which earlier was mentioned, is a English-speaking country, and Tema is the port, which is about 30 kilometers from the capital Accra, which is a very good city. Very safe country, I would say, and we can do business in Ghana. The port, which is again operated almost every year, they handle 1,500 vessels, and 85% of Ghana's import-export is coming through Tema port. There is other port called Tokoradi, which is a small port, but the major port is Tema port. Again, here again the major imports are refined petroleum products, rice, coated, flat rolled iron. Major exports are gold, crude, petroleum, cocoa, beans, cashew nuts, coconuts, Brazil nuts. These nuts, they come to India for processing also in the southern part. They import, they process, and then they export. Cote d'Ivoire, usually it is called Cote d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast, and that country is just above Nigeria. You will find it's a beautiful country, again controlled by a French colony. It was earlier French colony. Ivory Coast has got the major port called Abidjan, and that handles about 2,000 vessels per annum. The terminal handled almost 760,000 TUs, 20-foot equivalent units, both import and exports together. The main import commodities are crude petroleum, frozen fish, rice, medicine, vehicles, machinery, and major exports are cocoa powder, beans, and raw cashew nuts. These are all agri products, and the cocoa powder is exported all over the world, and major chocolate brands like Nestle and others, they procure cocoa from here. The best cocoa in the world that comes from Abidjan. Now, further up, you have Senegal, another French-speaking country. Dakar is the capital, and the port of Dakar is a very huge port. Almost a million TUs they handled. 900,000 was the record when I noticed it last. The total key length is 710 meters, and the available draft is 12.5. Normally nowadays, draft available means the depth available at the jetty, and now since the vessels are becoming big and broad, the draft requirements are coming down, and therefore the 12.5 draft huge vessels like 3,000, 4,000 TUs, 5,000 TUs vessels are also handled here. Again, here in this country, the imports are capital goods, petroleum products, agri products, and exports include seafood, refined petroleum, chemical products, peanut oil, phosphates, etc. Okay, now after covering some of the major ports within the given limited time, I thought I will also share my experience briefly working in Africa for almost a decade. I did a small SWOT analysis. SWOT is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. The basic strength is diversity, low cost of living, huge mineral reserves, cheap labor. These are the advantages. African nation, if you go and meet people, they are always eager to learn from you. They always have a problem, or rather the basic problem is the formal education is lacking, and it is very costly. So they try to learn from you. That is advantage. The people are very generous and very cooperative. There is a general feeling that it is risky. That is not the case. Now, what are the opportunities? I will first talk about opportunities. Extractive industry, that means if you use the local raw material available, you will have a lot of scope. Rich source of minerals, as I mentioned. Focus of service sector, now that is growing. Somebody asked about service centers, back offices. The young population, learned population is growing. That's why there is a scope. Engagement of students, there is they are going to the colleges and they are learning, so that is another advantage. Now, what are the weaknesses? High unemployment rate. You will find a lot of people which is are available, but there are not that many jobs. High rate of illiteracy, I already touched upon it. The reason why illiteracy is there, because there are not that many schools, and the education is very costly. Most of the countries which are war affected, and a generation of people are absolutely washed out, and some of the children who face the war, now they want to go to school, but that schools are not there. Some areas are there, and there are health and nutritional issues are there. Lack of infrastructure, of course, I mentioned. corruption issue is there. And what are the threats? Uh, there are certain countries, and this threat is in everybody's mind, that if I set up an industry tomorrow, if something goes wrong, if the political leadership is is going to change, then what will happen to me and all that. Those risks are there, we cannot deny that, because some radical groups are there, and there is negative perception. In general, there is a negative perception, and life threats are there in some cases, which I have seen many times while working in these countries. I tell you, there are certain areas where in the afternoon 12 o'clock people never used to dare to go, but I used to take out my car, and midnight 12 o'clock I have driven, but nothing has happened to me. I am standing in front of you, and I can tell you that if you are good to people, people are good to you. And if you are upright, and if they know that you are trying to uplift them, there is no issue. Africa is your destination. Africa will help you in setting up a unit. I have seen in Angola, where I was there for almost 5 6 years, one Mr. Jain from Ahmedabad, he has set up his foundry there, and there are local peoples working there. So it's a risk, and if the risk is there, the rewards are more. You people know it very well. So once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And if any questions are there, I am open to it. So yeah.
Sir, you have not asked, told about Matadi.
Pardon?
Port of Matadi.
Matadi.
Local level, local level.
Mathadi.
M-A-T-H-D-I. Port of Matadi.
Matadi. No. Okay. You are talking. Are you referring to small Congo or big Congo? There are two Congos. One is Point Noir, and the port of Matadi is a riverine port, which is from the sea. The vessel has to travel a lot inside. The siltation problem is there. So the vessels take longer time to go, and the vessel arrival and departure costs are very high. That's why in Matadi, the import exports, the freight rates are very high.
So, sir, if I had to put something in Congo, do I have to go through this Angola?
No, you don't have to go to Angola. You can directly load on the vessel which is going to Matadi.
From Angola?
No, Angola is not cheaper. See, one thing I must tell you, that anywhere, if there is a transshipment issue, means if you are sending something to some country, and if that, like earlier, we used to send everything to Far East via Colombo, because all the big vessels were coming to Colombo. But mind well that in Colombo you have to discharge the container from one vessel and load it on the mother vessel. So that was costly. Similarly, if you are loading directly on a vessel which is going directly to Matadi, that will help in reducing the cost. But Angola is a costly place for transshipment. Transshipment in Durban is okay, still acceptable. Yeah. If there are no other questions, sorry.
So how do you see the African economy in next 2 decades? Not only for you, for all the panelists.
From a shipping company perspective, no, I am looking from a shipping. A lot of shipping companies are trying to set up shops in Africa. The terminals are getting grabbed by Dubai port, like Senegal, Dubai port. Angola, second terminal is Dubai port. Merckx, the company where I worked for 30 years, they are setting up units, container terminals in major container ports in Africa. So Africa is growing, there is no doubt about it. And as we always say, matured markets, margins are low, but the new markets, of course, margins are better.
See the Chinese intrusion where they
Yes.
invested so much.
Okay, let me give one anecdote. Have you heard in India any male roaming in the street and painting the nails of the ladies? That Chinese have captured. So that is the penetration. I am just giving an example. I was also shocked. One day I saw a man with a tray of various colors, nail paints were there, and I was wondering what he is doing. All the African girls, young girls, will stand in the road and he will do the nail painting. Another interesting thing I tell you, China, whatever prisoners are there, they will lift and they will drop them in Africa, certain countries, and they will take out their passports so they cannot come back. And they are given as free labor to the countries where they are dropped. So that is
Sorry, you are now you're speaking about China, right?
Yes, yes.
That's why I always
Sure.
tell our friends here in India. One Chinese gentleman, today is a billionaire, right? He's a Chinese billionaire today. So he went to one country in Africa with only $7 in his pocket. That's how he took the risk. He went there, and today is a billionaire.
billion.
So that's what Mr. Rane said. You want to print money, come to Africa.
Come to Africa.
That's one thing.
I
No, but
So it's
very
very
risky.
You have to buy a land for 10 crores.
And this is for you to think about. The same
Yeah.
thing, tell one Indian gentleman to go to Africa, they will think for 10 years, 20 years.
Correct. Correct. Similarly, just he mentioned that one Chinese guy, $7 or $10, he comes to Africa and becomes a millionaire. I have seen one Indian person bringing $1,000. Today he is a millionaire. I have met him, I know him, and his business was ready-made garments. He used to procure from other place and he used to sell it in Africa. But that gentleman has gone through 29 years of civil war and he has survived. So,
one major difference between Chinese and rest
Yes.
of the world is that China, the whole government is behind them.
Correct.
In India and other things, there is nobody.
Actually,
In sense,
I
I'm telling you, when I went through Denmark to Luanda, there are 100 Chinese going, not knowing even language, and people are bending. And I am staying there for 1 hour for just going out of the port.
correct.
Yes,
No, if you go to Ethiopian Airways, their entire flights are full with Chinese passengers. And they, as he rightly said, not a single word they know about Portuguese. They don't know English and they still come to these places and they do business. So if Chinese can do, we are intelligent people, we can also do. So why not? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kulkarni. Mr. Kulkarni has all the way come from Pune to attend this particular conference and to discuss more about and to tell you about ports. So today we have invited Mr. Rani to speak about Africa and to understand that what you people can invest or what businesses you can do over there. Also, you understand about Mauritius, and also Mr. Kulkarni has explained more about the ports. So everyone understand about the business opportunities and the investments in Africa. And now if you want to do the business over there, you need a money. And for that purpose, we are inviting Mr. Chaitanya Shah sir to talk about that, how he can also help you and how he can also help you from the finance point of view.
Thank you, ma'am. Dignitaries on the dais and members from the industry. Today, I'm standing in front of you to talk about effective financial management and advantages and benefits to SMEs. This is the subject which I have been involved with for almost 45 years, and I'll take you through this journey and what is very important as far as the SMEs are concerned and businesses are concerned. If you notice or if you go through, try to understand, the MSME is a journey. You are starting from the idea or a startup stage, going to tiny and micro, small scale, medium scale, and then large scale. Now, this journey, if you compare with maybe education or with cricket, so if you look at cricket, in a childhood stage, everybody is playing cricket in the gully cricket kind of a thing. But by the time you go to the international level, look at the kind of filtration which is keep on taking place. Same thing is happening in case of the growth of the MSME, as you grow, for so many people, who die at the idea stage, who cannot survive the startup stage, and very few reach to tiny and micro, micro to small scale to medium scale, and then to the large scale. Now, this is where the journey of an entrepreneur is very important. And because of the limitation of time, I'm going to focus only on the financial aspect, what the finance is related with in terms of this journey and how it needs to be handled. As far as the journey of an entrepreneur is concerned, he also needs to cope up. Now, say you look at the caliber of somebody who is playing in a gully or somebody like Virat Kohli, who is playing at the international level, or Tendulkar, who is playing. What is the difference between the skills? Those skill differences are the key when the entrepreneur is growing to that level. That's the focus which is there, and which will be seeing, how the finance helps in that. In last couple of decades or 3 decades, two major things have happened. One is there is a globalization and liberalization. As a result, there is tremendous amount of competition, uncertainties, and complexities in the business environment in which we are working, which was not the case earlier. And as a result, one has to be extremely careful. Second outflow of this is that profit, which earlier we used to manage by selling, ठीक है, we'll reduce the supply in the market, or we can easily, reduce the, increase the selling price and get the profit. Today, you cannot change your selling price. Selling price is decided by the market forces, and hence you have to focus only on the cost. And this is where, again, the skill of the owner, the skill of the entrepreneur, skill of the finance function which is related to this is something which is very important. Again, in last, somebody, I think one of my earlier speakers spoke about it. In last decade or so many things have happened. And as a result, you have to focus on transparency and governance. Today, with GST coming in, you have to come out with the exact, books of accounts and pay your taxes and all that. And the transparency is becoming a very big issue today. Now, if you want to create a long-term sustainable business, if you are really willing to work out and want to create a long-term sustainable business, there are 3 essential things today which you have to focus on so as to create a business which will last for maybe 1 generation, 2 generation, or 3 generations. And we have examples of Tata's, Birla's, L&T, Reliance, Infosys, Hindustan Lever and all. The first thing is you must have optimum utilization of resources. Optimum utilization of resources means what? Today, suppose whatever factory or whatever business operations you are having, that business operation, you must be in a position to run to its optimum. One of the classic example in today's context which we can understand is the railways. What government is doing in terms of railways? They have the same resources. They have not made, they have improved, they have reduced the downtime, and what they have done, number one, they have reduced the number of minutes or times the way the trains are running. I remember between Dadar and Thane, if you go, there it used to take 34-35 minutes. Today it is taking 28 minutes. The number of compartments, they have increased from 9 to 12, 15 and all. Now, this is the way you are in a position to increase your capacity to utilize all the investment which you have done, and it has a fantastic impact on your profits. Second thing is fair distribution to all your stakeholders. This is one of the major issue, particularly when you are growing. As you grow at a certain level, maybe from 5 crore to 10 crore or 200 crores kind of a thing, or 200 crores, then how you deal all your stakeholders, and stakeholders will include your suppliers, your customers, your financiers, your employees, and all the government agencies with whom you are dealing. If you're dealing with all these people and if you're dealing fairly with distributors, then it will really help you in a big way. Third thing is today, compliances and governance issues. Governance issues today, what you are complying with is something which is very important. And in all the three areas, financial management is at the crux. You have to have a proper financial management so as to ensure that you are able to create a sustainable business which will last for maybe decades or maybe 2-3 generations kind of a thing. Now, financial management as a key has a role in every aspect. Your business chain, business value chain starts with research and development. You are having your design, product, services, production, marketing, distribution, customer service. All through your financial management is the key and around which the whole business rotates, and you have to get the whole thing captured and put it into the right place so that you are able to create a right values in your business. Evolution of finance function. Now, this is something which businesses need to understand. When you are at an idea or a micro stage, your focus is more on validation of your product or services. You are not focusing on finance as such. At that stage, you are focusing only on completing accounting, filing of your income tax returns, and filing the accounts if it's a private limited company or somewhere where it is required to be filed, and compliances, which is like GST return or sales tax returns and all that. And as a result, if you see, most of the small business units, their accounts are not in place. It takes maybe 3 months, 6 months to complete the accounts. And as a result, they don't know exactly where they are standing financially in terms of their business performances. And this is the major issue in a very idea and a small scale level micro stage. Next stage, when you are becoming a small and a medium sized business unit, you start focusing on costing. Cost accounting is the second most important part, whether the activities which you are doing, whether it is a service or a product line. And if you are catering to maybe 8, 10 different types of products, are you really making profit in each of these activity or not? That is something which you really need to look at. And that is what will decide your product mix. If you are having 8, 10, now say for example, you are trading. Some people are talking about trading and giving different types of products. Now, when you are trading the products in different areas, in that you would like to understand which product is giving me the maximum profit. If you are manufacturing, then again you would like to see which is the product which is giving me the maximum profit. And accordingly, you have to keep on changing your product mix and the line of activity and the focus. And this is what you will get from costing. Second area which is important is the finance. As you grow in the business, some of my predecessors, particularly Mr. Gupta ji was talking, gentleman from State Bank was talking, finance becomes the key. If you want to raise the finance, then there are certain basic things which are required to be complied with. If you don't comply with those things, then finance is not made available to you. And that is what has to be very clearly focused when you are moving from small to the medium scale. And that is where the organization, particularly the owner, has to get focused in terms of what is to be required to be done. Third, as you grow from small to medium scale, it is very important that you start focusing on management accounting. What is management accounting? That is your business planning. Say we are today in the year 23-24. Have you got any plans in place for 24-25, 25-26? Now, unless you have your management, which is, we call it the planning. Now, unless you have those kinds of plans in place, you are not in a position to create a system or your own planning which will have a long-term impact on your business. And that becomes the basis for your growth. And particularly when you are going to medium, because financial risks are increasing. If you are into manufacturing, you are putting some additional lines, or you are going for some new line of production or some new line of activity, then you are putting money which may be in crores or whatever be the amount. Now, whether that will survive or not, that will decide, or that will be decided based on the kind of business planning which you have done, what is going to happen for future. And all the three things is a evolution. As you grow from a micro unit to the medium scale, your activities will keep on increasing, and you have to increase your focus in some of these things. Now, this is the management pyramid. This is what is happening in most of the cases. If you see in this pyramid, accounting function is working at three levels. At the bottom level, which will take away, in most of the cases, 85% of the time. Unfortunately, in very large corporates, it takes 85 or 80% of the time, where you are compiling a very authentic and reliable information, which is becoming a solid base for you to work and take decisions. And this is what is done by people at a junior level who are good in your accounting part and other part of it. Second level is the tactical management, where based on this information, you are making the coordination between different functions. Say, for example, you have to decide on the pricing of a product, whether the price should be increased or not. Then there has to be a coordination between production, marketing, and the accounts and finance, which will decide and tell you whether this price increase is something which is affordable or not affordable, whether we can do it or not. And third thing is, at the highest level, which may not take more than 5 to 10% of the total activity of the management as well as of the accounting function. But this is the most crucial function. Under this part, what you are doing is, you are trying to integrate your corporate strategy or business strategy, what you want to do in next 3 to 5 years. You combine it with the financial strategy, whether this particular strategy will work out or not, whether your financial goals and business goals are integrating. If they are not getting integrated, then those things will not give you the kind of results which you are really expecting. Unfortunately, in my 25 years of consulting, I find that most of the people are spending their time only in the bottom activity, which is struggling with compiling the books of accounts, which also is not happening in time. They take 3 months, 4 months, 6 months to compile the books of accounts. If your books of accounts are not ready, if your, say, debtor statement, which will give you, what is the aging statement of your, outstanding and all, if that is not ready by the 5th of the next month, that statement has no meaning. It will not help you. Today, if you see, I'm sure all of you would be knowing about that part. If you see, after the end of the quarter, now we are in the month of September. September will end. By 10th, you will see large company results coming out. You will be getting results starting from the 8th, 9th, 10th day. Now, when these results are coming out, it shows, how quick they are on the information. SME's biggest problem is that they are not focused on the information. And as a result, their businesses run into problem. And this is where they need to understand the importance of information at all the three levels. It is not just enough that you get, people say, that we have got this thing, Tally or busy accounting software, and it gives me all the reports. Those reports are not enough. Those reports are something which you key in garbage and you get the garbage. Making it into information requires spatial skills, spatial understanding. And this is what, unfortunately, I find, and this becomes a very important issue from the business community point of view, owner's point of view. Refocusing the finance function. What has happened in last 25, 30 years? Things have changed dramatically. There was a time when the accounts function was spending 50% of 40 to 50% of the time in transaction processing. What is transaction processing? You are writing your books of accounts. You are keying in your vouchers, cash vouchers, bank vouchers, sales vouchers and all that. And that was the time which was getting spent. And they had, as a result, information analysis for decision making of the business was only 10% available. Today, with all sorts of mechanization, speed which is available, the time which is required for transaction processing has got reduced to 20%. Control is also dramatically reduced from 30 to 10% because most of the time things are easily controllable with the information which is available, and that is being done in decision support. All the information coming from the accounting function or the finance function, you are using for role transformation where decision support from 10% has gone to 50%. All the data which most of the companies, I work for one of the largest Indian multinational, there the focus is by 5th, whatever happens, by 5th of the next month, they must have the CEO or the functional head or the unit head must get all the information by the 5th of the next month. And then they will sit on analyzing the data and the information. This is where units who want to grow, and particularly those who are having more than 10, 15, 20 crores turnover, they should start focusing on so that they can become 100 crore units maybe in 2 years or 3 years depending on their business plans. What is the short-term goal? Any business unit, when they are going through this journey, the first short-term goal, unit which has 5, 10, 50, 20 crore turnover, they would like to know what are the results of managing current operations. Second is sales and cost of production. What is my sales? What is my cost of production? Whether I am making profit or not. This is something what the business owner would like to know in the first stage. When 10, 20 crore turnover is there. Debtors and inventories. What is my debtors? What is my inventories? Whether those data are accurate or not. Because my assessment over so many years of experiences that the data reliability in SMEs is a big issue. Getting a quality data, reliable data is becoming difficult. Now things are improving. Cash flows and profit. One of the biggest problem of SMEs is managing working capital. Their cash flow management is a big issue as far as the SMEs are concerned, and they find it extremely difficult and running around from pillar to post for making both the things. And if you are in a position to plan this in advance, then your debtors and inventories, cash flows, profits, everything will be remaining under control, and you will be in a position to do your business and focus on your business priorities more. Routine statutory compliances and generating reports for giving it to the outside parties. Whosoever are there, where the reports are to be given. That is where short-term goals. These are the first immediate requirements of any business owner. In the medium term, once you have stabilized at this level, you go to the next level of your requirements. In the next level of requirements, what happens? You start working on top and bottom line management. You can start focusing what should be my growth for the next year, whether it should be 10% growth, whether my bottom line should increase 10%, 20%, 30%. Now, this sort of a planning, top and bottom line management becomes very important, and he is able to focus because the basic things are falling in place once he has crossed the first level of compliances. Second is designing and implementation profit planning. The person, once the data starts coming in, information starts coming in properly, data are being fed properly, systems are in operation, then the profit planning, designing and implementation of system becomes comparatively easier, and that becomes this priority. Third is performance review with an integrated MIS system. Today, if you want to review the performance of your marketing person, your procurement person, or a production guy, you would need a very accurate data. Based on this data, you are in a position to tell. In fact, I have designed production reports for companies, or with 40, 50 crore companies, where every week the owner is in a position to talk to the plant manager and tell him that this particular machines were underutilized. This was the excess consumption of material. Thereby, what happens? Accountability is increased, and the owner and the concerned people, whether it is a production manager, marketing manager, they are able to manage the whole thing, which will help in controlling top and bottom line. Decisions on product mix and capacity planning. Once things getting stabilized, you are in a position to decide what product mix and capacity utilization has to be done. Because once the data starts flowing in, you are in a position to know whether my products are making profit or my products are not making profit. If products are making profit, there is a greater demand for a particular product. For example, there was one particular unit into personal and hygiene care products. Suddenly, during COVID, they switched over to making hand wash. Their sales went up by 6 times because that was in great demand. So you are able to take those kind of decisions which will help in terms of increasing your profit. You have that kind of a flexibility. Cash flow planning and working capital management, which is a major issue. But with flowing data in your medium term goals, you will always try to see that my cash flow planning is perfect. I am in a position to issue checks to my suppliers, as well as ensure that my inflow of the sales is coming in properly. Monitoring of capital expenditure and asset management. If you are growing, if your business is growing, if you are planning some diversification into different line of products, then how much money you want to invest in different line or in capital expenditure, you are able to decide with this kind of a surety that my data is accurate, my all the numbers are under control, and as a result, I am in a position to take my decision on building or on deciding what kind of expansion or other activities I can take up. Tax planning and administration. Long-term goals. You go further than this. Once you are stabilizing on this, you are going to the next stage. And in next stage, what you do is you are trying to look at review of current business activities. Whether these current business activities are something which is good or not, whether I am making enough profit, whether I should switch over to another line of activity or something. Now, this is where he is in a position to take an informed decision. Informed decision which is based on solid information available, data which is perfectly available, and based on that he can take decision. Exploring new lines of activity. This is where a person is in a position to decide that, okay, I'm already in this particular line of business, whether I am in a position to move into another line of activity which would really help me in terms of my growth. Whether I have to invest in the same line or I can go for another line. Financial structuring. This is becoming very important, particularly with bankers sitting over here. Financial structuring. How much I can leverage with the debt, how much I can borrow, whether I should inject more money into my business. One of the things which I have found, particularly in SMEs with turnover up to 50 crores and which is owner managed, their business and personal financial planning is generally not properly done. And when the father is going to give the business to the child, it's a big problem. Because father doesn't have any capital, and that is causing a big problem in transition. Succession planning is not there in a position to do. Now, this financial structuring, financial planning, your capital building, which will help you to manage your old age kind of a thing, and passing on the business to the children. Business risk management. Today, based on today, as we know, the technology is moving very fast. With artificial intelligence coming in, I saw certain, examples of how the artificial intelligences can make. You can just give certain points, and it will build a speech for you. Suppose I have to come and talk on this particular subject, I can just simply give few points, and it will make a speech for me that what exactly is required to be done. Now, in this kind of a scenario, what is your business risk? Are you into a very high risk area? What you should be doing? And strategic cost management. If you are in a very competitive business, where do you save your cost? In vehicle industry, I know certain companies, whether to have one extra particular kind of a carpet into the car or not is something which also is being debated because of the cost. How much cost you are going to charge extra as compared to the competitor, and with more than 500 vehicles available today in the market as compared to two in 80s, you know kind of a competition which is there. The main issue which I have found over these years is that businesses don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. Planning of business is something which is very, very important. As you grow, unless you plan your business properly, it is going to land you into a gray area, and with the tightening controls by the government, reporting requirements and other things which are there, it's going to create a further problem. And for this, one must have integrated management information system, which will provide timely, accurate, and adequate information. If you have any questions, I'm open to it. Done? No questions? Either everything is understood or not understood. Either way.
So clear that everything is understood.
Okay.
Very well.
All are satisfied. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So we are just closing this session. Before, thank you very much for everybody's introduction and esteemed panelist today over here from SME Chamber of India and Maharashtra Industry Development Association. We are doing regular these kind of events and activities. Yeah. We used to do it in all metro cities, major tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities also. And now this is something a unique idea from the brain of Mr. Chandrakant Salunke. He's thinking minutely to develop the industry, and we have started this SME Business Forum. And through this, we wanted to do some sort of, we can say, contribution to the industry through the knowledge sharing, how we can interact with each other, and trade, जो बायलैटरल कंट्री के साथ में हम लोग करते हैं, वैसा यहाँ पे कुछ ट्रेड हो सकता है तो वो भी देख सकते हैं. बिकॉज नॉर्मली होता क्या है कि आपके बाजू में कोई बंदा बैठा हुआ है, वो क्या कर रहा है आपको खुद को पता नहीं है. यू आर सिटिंग इन कॉन्फ्रेंस, 4 घंटे या 5 घंटे बैठ जाते हैं. मुझे बताइए कितने लोगों के साथ में कार्ड एक्सचेंज कर लिए? हाईएस्ट कार्ड एक्सचेंजर कौन है यहाँ पे? चलो ठीक है, करिए. दैट इज अ गुड ऑप्शन, आई थिंक सो. एंड सी, वी हैव द प्लेटफॉर्म, वी हैव द पीपल, वी हैव द एक्सपर्टीज, वी हैव द नॉलेज. उसका फायदा किस तरह से कौन क्या लेता है, सबके ऊपर डिपेंड है. सो वी आर डूइंग दिस काइंड ऑफ सीरीजेस रेगुलरली. मेजॉरिटी पीपल आर मैन्युफैक्चरर ओवर हियर, मेजॉरिटी आर द एक्सपोर्टर्स ओवर हियर. हम कुछ थीम लेके आ जाते हैं, आप उसमें पार्टिसिपेट हो जाते हैं. I'll do something, ask something reverse calculation, हम लोग कुछ करेंगे. आपको अगर कुछ ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं चलो ठीक है, we are the exporters, we wanted to know about this foreign trade policy, जैसे कि सर ने बता दिया what are the trade agreement between India and Mauritius, कितने लोगों को पता है? किसको पता नहीं है, हाँ, ऑन एन एवरेज। सो उस हिसाब से अगर आपको कुछ लगता है कि भाई चलो ठीक है, वी आर द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, वी आर द एक्सपोर्टर्स, वी वांटेड टू नो समथिंग ऑन दिस टॉपिक, जैसे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सेलेंस हो गया, इंडस्ट्री वी आर डूइंग इंडस्ट्री 4.0, इंडस्ट्री 5.0 की तरफ दुनिया दौड़ रही है, यू वांटेड टू नो अबाउट इट, आप बताइए, विल डू दैट, वी हैव दोज एक्सपर्टीज, वो एक्सपर्टीज यहाँ पे लेके आएंगे एंड वी विल मेक इट सम सॉर्ट ऑफ इंटरैक्टिव थिंग्स जो होते हैं, दैट वी विल ट्राई टू ब्रिंग इट एट योर डोर स्टेप। सो आपके यहाँ से भी कुछ आना चाहिए, खाली यहाँ से चले गए निकल गए, भाई आया सुन लिया चाय पानी पी लिया निकल गया, वैसा होना नहीं चाहिए। इट शुड बी अ विन विन फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस एंड टू वे ट्रैफिक, वन वे ट्रैफिक होना नहीं चाहिए। सो
delegation to the African countries with the SME and these people to associate, select few people, you can visit, understand them, then it is very good for us to invest.
so that, we are ready to do that. That's the reason we are doing these kind of activities. Okay. Yeah.
Similar to Indian concept, Bangladesh में business to business meet रखा है, उसके कारण इतना business मिला बांग्लादेश में, students ने मालूम है, क्योंकि उन्होंने सब्जेक्ट रखा था कि ये लाइन में लोग मिलना चाहते हैं, business meet one to one, तो उसमें क्या होता है, इंटरेक्शन भी ज़्यादा बहुत अच्छा होता है।
So that's the reason I'm saying it should be a two-way interaction. It should not be a one-way interaction. Okay.
Can send your names to us. We can discuss with Mr. Rane. We can make a one plan to take you over there. कौन सी countries visit करनी चाहिए. He can guide us on that. और हम लोग एक 7 days का plan बना के वहाँ पे जा सकते हैं.
जैसे 3-4 दिन हो गया या 7 days, whatever it may be, how जैसे भी feasible है, we can do that.
उसके लिए support कर सकते हैं. तो अगर आप हमें भेज देंगे, you all are having our numbers and all. और एक mail drop कर दीजिए कि yes we are interested. So we can discuss with Mr. Rane on that part. और हम लोग दिवाली के बाद का टाइम शेड्यूल करके we can definitely try and organize.
So every Friday, Saturday we are planning to have a interaction over here. अगर नहीं होता every Saturday, मतलब Friday Saturday नहीं होता है तो alternate Friday Saturday we'll try to fix it session over here. So those companies not able to participate या कोई अगर नहीं कर सकता तो you can invite them also. And be a member with chamber, first criteria, and then avail the services. So I'll thanks to Shati sir, thank you Rani sir, and panelist for the giving the presentation and all the useful information to us. And we have tea, coffee, and snacks over here. So we'll stop here today. Thank you everybody. Thank you very much.